We're streaming. This is your.
Okay.
We're gonna start. That's it. Cool. So if there are ever any questions with regard to what happens.
Other than that, we're good to go.
Oh,
Okay. We have it. We have it.
Alicia will be here. She's just writing.
Yeah, we have 8. We're good.
Okay.
All right. There.
Yeah,
Space there. Let's be talking. Okay, and Katie Zedek is also here. We'll vote her in. As well. Anything else? Taylor, how are you?
fine. Hi, Peter.
Good to see you. In case you'd like one.
Welcome.
This.
And we for sure have it.
By me.
Yeah.
They cut me out. I usually sit over.
Yeah, you're on that side. I don't.
There's this many chairs.
Just give me.
Sit here.
I'll keep our new person. coming.
Yeah, thanks.
It's that we just go back.
All right. How are you?
Do you feel like I'm low?
Yeah.
Low in the seat.
Because I'm used to seeing this.
Yeah, I guess.
Doing well. How are you?
Good.
One other check is,
No, I'm nervous.
Um,
Yeah.
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 Certainly not me.
That's me.
Okay.
That's great.
But I.
Oh, no.
Hi. How you feeling? I'm sorry.
This is-
Sorry, I'll just have to.
Do better. I've been in school a lot. Don't even work. You don't mind me.
It's okay.
What do you think it would be?
No, for me, no one ran. He said they would.
Under.
So I had to like. there was, like, a
Under
little
about?
option, But, oh, and then
No,
I
you
had
have
to do, yeah, and then I had to wait for the Board of Education.
Right. Yeah, no, I know.
That's how it is.
I know.
Little comment.
Where?
On the minutes.
Huh?
On the minutes.
Oh, no.
It was just changing 200 to.
Oh, did you send me an email?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna.
sorry.
No,
Tell
it
us.
was just.
Right.
Sabrina, I was in F class meeting. Sabrina's comments.
Oh,
I'm assuming it's 2,000.
And then you.
families.
Okay. Sometimes I go up, but I'm not going to.
how many things?
Yeah.
I've got a tax of money. I don't know.
We have a super
So, yeah.
Hi guys.
Oh, hi.
I hope. Hi. I will be with you in 20 minutes. I'm in train right now. I hope this is fine.
Okay, will you be listening in during that 20 minutes?
Yes, I will be with you, but I will just mute myself and but I will be on the meeting. Yeah.
So we're going to vote you in. You and Amy said that you have to vote into the meeting to participate. Just hang there.
Okay, I'll be there muted. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I think we are about ready. Just Dr. Macias, could I just ask you before we start? Could you forward Dr. Steinmiller your slide? I'm doing it, but it's taking me a while to log in, so that would help. Thank you. Okay, great. Dr. Lucan Macias. Right. You want to read that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to call to order the November 2023 local school council meeting for Lincoln Park High School. Before we begin and do roll call, I would like to say we have 2 members who are in transit right now. Actually 3, but 2 are attending here. We need, in order for them to participate, we need a quorum in person, physical quorum. we have a physical quorum in person that are needed, and then we can vote them to participate remotely. So I'd like to make them what? Oh, okay. So it's been recommended to me that we do roll call first. So we'll do a roll call. Akoya, could I ask you to start and just state your name and your position on the LSC?
I'm Akoya Love. I'm a student representative.
Alexander Torzeski, student representative.
As you wish.
Jane Rosenthal, student representative.
David Cottons, teacher representative.
Eric Steinmiller, principal.
Ted Smith, parent rep.
Peter Talmers, parent rep.
Laura Yepes, parent rep.
Brad Kessler, community rep.
Angelica Sepulveda, teacher rep.
Sandra Kaler, teacher rep.
Thank you, everyone. And Paul, we just did a roll call. Do you want to just say your name and your role? Wonderful. Welcome, Paul Kendrick, community representative.
And Sasha, parent representative.
Okay, so now, Sasha, thank you. And Amy Zemnick, are you on the line?
I am here.
Okay, great. So I'd like to make a motion to allow Amy Zemnick and Sasha Zenko, parent representatives on the LSC, to participate remotely for this meeting, or at least while they're in transit. Is there a second? Akoya, second. All those in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So the first item on our agenda then is public participation. So anyone in the room or online who would like to speak, we welcome you to come up to the podium and speak. We ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes. We will be checking time. And so if anyone here, I'll start with those in the room and then go online. Is there anyone here in the room who would like to make a public comment? Dr. Macias, Luca Macias? Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay, just let you know that you both.
Oh, 2 minutes each. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just gonna introduce her.
Yep, just let you know.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Federico Luque Macias, the Arabic and Spanish teacher at Lincoln Park High School. And I want to say here in the public participation that we have a grant from the Qatar Foundation, or remaining of a grant of the Qatar Foundation International, that was awarded to Arabic. We have like some $40,000 remaining that have to be spent by December 31st, and they have to go to recruiting and promotion, because that wasn't done at the time that it should have done. It should have been done, and but partly also we're trying to open Arabic 1 that wasn't open this year yet. So yesterday, Dr. Sam Miller, Marianda Tukey, and I met, and we were discussing possible options, possible avenues, and we talked about maybe finding somebody who would do the outreach, like a consultant. And I'm happy to introduce today Miss Angelica Cifuentes, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the proposal that she brings for this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Luca Macias.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm excited to introduce myself. As he mentioned, I'm Angelica Cifuentes. I'm Colombian, but I'm now an American. I was born in Saudi Arabia, and my parents do speak fluent Arabic. I do not, but I do understand a little bit. And I have a presentation design company. We also do graphic design. We've done outreach with different schools, creating their banners and things for parties. We also work with several consultant companies, several different, like Accenture and some of the bigger firms. But now I think a great push would be to become more of a community pillar. And right now, I'd really like to start working with local companies here in Chicago. So I've done different work for Federico and for his wife as well, so they know me well. And we were discussing different ways in which we could do some community outreach and doing like a few different things. So one of them, focusing in the neighborhood and seeing how we can get more of the community involved with Lincoln Park High School with the offering of Arabic, seeing if they can see the advantages of sending their kids here if they don't already, or if they will in the future. And then with the community in Lincoln Park High School, setting up different cultural events, different online events, so that we can attract more students, especially highlighting the huge advantages the Arabic language has. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but if it's the 5th largest language in the world, it has over 420 million people that speak it. And there's huge outreach from the government that's trying to get a lot more resources so that high schoolers in particular learn Arabic, because there's really great career opportunities. So yeah, lots of ideas. Happy to help. You guys all have a sheet that I prepared for this. And then there's also my website on there, and I'm happy to give any cards. So if you guys have any questions, or I'm not sure how this works, if that's
Yeah, right now, we may have some we have 10 minutes allotted for Arabic later in the agenda. Right now, it's sort of a one-way, you made a statement. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to learning more.
Good too.
Okay.
And for the presentation later, that's something that my company also prepared. So you guys can see our work live and in person.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
All right. Thank you for that public comment. Is there anyone else in the room who has a public comment? I'm not seeing anyone. Is there anyone on the call who has a public comment?
See 4 attendees, but I do not see any hands up at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Steinmiller. Okay. So that concludes public comment. I wanted to mention too that due to a work commitment on my part this evening, I have to leave in about 20 or 30 minutes. So we're going to continue on with the agenda. When we get to that point, I check with LSC Relations, and the process is that we will vote as an LC for a temporary chair to finish running the meeting. And no. So so we'll be doing that, and that is that's just an FYI item. So the next thing is to do a review and approval of minutes from the October 16th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'd like to motion to approve the minutes from the
Mr.
last
Cotton,
meeting.
thank you. Is there a second? Okay, Akoya. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes from October? Okay, great. We're not present. Okay. Okay, so you two are abstaining. Is there anyone opposed? Okay. So, and Sasha and Amy, did you thumbs up that? I see Sasha
Support.
raising her hand. Thank you.
Support, yeah.
Amy, yes. Okay, got it. All right. So all but the two abstains, Brad and Ms. Sepulveda. Thank you very much. Next item is celebrations for LPHS. So this is a chance for anyone on the LSC to make a comment on good things they've seen happening recently, things of note, things of truth, hope, joy, love, etc. Fun, dancing. I don't know. Miss Kaler.
We had a successful IB 8th grade IB diploma program meeting with parents and prospective students. It was really great. There was a big turnout. Parents don't have to come in. I don't think it used to be that I think if you were interested in the choice program that you had to, but we had a huge turnout, lots of questions. We had senior diploma program students tackling some of the questions and what it was like to be a diploma program student, and they were so impressive, and so much better to hear from them than just the teachers. And the parents were so impressed with how they spoke and what they were learning, and even said, I've been to the selective enrollment programs, and I was just so impressed with your students. So I thought that was a celebration.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Kaler. And can I just ask, was that DP only, or was it career program and MYP? Or
It was those students, yes, that are interested in the diploma program. Yes, it was
Okay.
just for diploma
Is
program.
that something we do on like each year, or?
Yes,
Okay.
it was very robust. We did that every year, and then
Okay.
COVID sort of threw things into weirdness. But
Oh. Do you know if we've done that for CP at all?
I'm aware of.
Okay.
CP doesn't have, so through Go CPS, CP isn't one of our Go CPS like magnet programs, and so not at that time. Those are conversations that we have usually with our sophomores. But the only way to to enroll is through the diploma program, Advanced College for Visual Performing Arts. So that's why it's presented as there's not a point of access.
Interesting. Okay.
And we do virtual and in-person for that DP event as well. So we had previously the week before a virtual.
That was the open house though,
No, we
right?
had a separate. Yes, Ms. Tukey and Ms. McCormick also.
Oh, yes,
a
yes.
virtual option for those who could come in person.
Yes.
We have an in-person and virtual option for 8%.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarifications. Other celebrations, other good things happening. Akoya.
I want to congratulate JROTC on placing like really like they're like 31 out of like 128 schools when they went to their competition, and I feel like that's really impressive, and we don't give enough like congrats to our JROTC program.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Very good.
And there was another one.
Please.
Peter, Peter, there was, the soccer boosters, or soccer teams, all three of them, had a great banquet. It was very well attended by parents and kids, and they get some awards. So very, very, very good end of season for soccer. Great. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Mr. Cottons?
Since we've met last, our football season ended. So just a huge shout out to Coach Vollinger and the staff of the football team for a job well done this season.
Yeah, agreed. That was a great season. Several 1,000 person plus in the fans attended games, and 8-2, I think they finished, was a record. Yeah. After, yeah. 8, no, undefeated in the regular season. And then, yeah. We'll start there. Cool.
Over 100 students came to try out for boys basketball team. Currently, Media Day is going on in our gym as we speak. Speaking of Media Day, we had our yesterday was National Letter of Intent Day, where we had our students signing for Villanova and Olney college as well. So we had for baseball and for soccer. So that's great. And then as other students get themselves in a position to sign, we will continue to celebrate that transition. It's pretty an awesome event. And so appreciate Friends Up for their support of it as well.
What is Media Day?
Media Day is when the athletes get their photos, the team photo is taken, they enjoy and just kind of get excited for the season. We use those images for some of the other things we publish. But as you see, even in the hallway, some of our fall sports, there are banners of the teams. This is where we'd have a banner for basketball.
And does the team have their New Balance fancy gear?
They do, and it's legit.
Okay, that's being featured today, I assume,
Yes,
in the
yes.
Okay, great. Is the team? Do they like their
Oh yeah,
garb?
well,
Whatever?
they love all of it.
Okay.
And from the shoes to the you name it, and the trip to Oakland that's being sponsored by the Balance as well.
Okay. Well, just a recognition, the LSC here voted to support that. I don't know that it was a formal requirement, but we did engage, and so we appreciate that conversation. Okay. Next, we have the LSC Budget Committee, and I know calendars were challenging this week, but I was sort of a temporary chair of that. But Laura Yepes is a longtime member since the beginning of the year, and actually made some suggestions on a way to maybe streamline some of the approval process. So Laura, would you mind talking a little bit about that?
So it was a long week. So when did we meet? Is it Tuesday? So we did review the budget tracker that was offered to us by Lisa Lopez, and there were a few things that we wanted to just bring to your attention that we did review and then also did approve as well in committee. Most notably is the budget transfer of close to 43,000. I don't know, does everybody have the budget tracker that they can maybe open up? Should we make that available to everybody, Peter?
Yeah, it's in if you go to the principals report that I shared with everyone, It's under domain 1, organizational leadership, and you will see that through a budget and template link, and that has a link to the entire.
Can you share it on the screen?
Yep. So this budget tracker has multiple tabs, and on those tabs are really fundraising, budget transfer requests. It just really keeps track of all of the financials for LPHS. Budget transfer request was really to fulfill requests that came through for this semester that we really don't have funds other than using our rental income to cover those costs. So we approved in committee to transfer funds from our rental income to cover that stopgap. Also, we wanted to note that the rental income, as I know it was a point of concern the last time we met, we will have a good cushion in the rental income bucket. Currently about 77,500 is left, but also that is rental income continues to come in. So that amount is expected to increase throughout the rest of the school year. So if there's concern about that, I just want you guys to know that really the rental income is there as a stopgap. And so we will use that until we go into the second half of the semester, where we have the student fees that this year we decided to do it in 2 portions. So families had the opportunity to pay for the student fees, half of it in the first semester and the second half in the second semester. So those fees will be coming in, and we'll be utilizing those funds as those funds come in. David, were there any other things that we reviewed?
No, we talked a little bit about some supply orders and as far as why some hadn't come in a timely manner. There were a number of departments that had funding approved for certain purchases of things. That's the only other addition that I might make.
Yeah, there was a September 8th date, which things need to be submitted, and some work that came after that have led to just some delays in rolling, trying to obtain funds to be able to get those for the departments as needed. And so that's where some of these are reallocating money to be able to make the purchases. There's a fund.
Yeah, and then there was one fundraiser that was approved as well in committee that was for junior ROTC to have that Krispy Kreme fundraiser, which I will enjoy because my son likes to buy those donuts. So that was approved during committee as well. But short of that, I think that that was pretty much the minutes for our budget meeting that occurred earlier this week. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I know, and I was absent from the meeting this week, but if we can go over the big dollar. So even if we say over $1,000 or so, just so the LSC is aware of like the purpose behind and the timing behind any big dollar purchase orders or transfers, as I should say.
All right, let me bring that up. I do have the email here from Ms. Lopez. So the big items were fine and performing arts music. That was $8,800. Nurse graduation stoles, $2,000. Tech fees, $3,000. Visual arts also requested close to $9,700. The science department asked for $14,000. The math department asked for close to $6,000. That gave us an overall total of $43,771.
And is that an accumulation of the highlighted lines we see in the tracker?
I believe so. Let me take a look.
Okay, so the request that is being referenced is for the repurposing of the funds from the parking lot as well as like cell tower funds. And that's what that allotment would be for. What you see on the yellow lines right here are general transfers. Majority of these are OST funds. So you're talking about Model UN, you're talking about other different things. So a lot of this is OST funds being allocated. The non-OST funds that are being allocated, one is for instructional material for like the PE department from money that's dropped. That's a big item, about 5,522. But the rest of it, of the big ticket, tend to be OST. You do see about $1,000 for the music department, or 1,000 and another line of 1,000. Those are the big tickets.
Do we know offhand how much dollars we have left in OST?
No, not off the top of my head. I would have to talk to Lopez about that, but we can find out.
That's one last question. The transfers of dollars from the rental lines is so that we're voting on the transfer to what? To just
To those specific line items.
yeah. Okay. So there's line items specifically for visual arts, for example. And
Yeah.
so are they going for the use of the department and how they see fit?
No, it's for a purchase order for orders or resources for those instructional courses.
Okay. And then but not showing up on this list.
No, that is just repurposing the parking lot fees and self-power. So it's reallocating it for classroom fees. For example, the PE department, they're going on a trip to Starved Rock. That's part of their curriculum with one of the outdoors. So that's some travel that might be associated with it. But that is specific to move those funds for resources for departments for art, the ones that were just listed.
Any other questions? All right, well then let's move on.
Thank you, Laura. The next item on the agenda is the
So we moved and seconded in committee for it to be voted. It doesn't require a second for the LSC, but we as the LSC still need to do an overall.
approval of the votes taken.
Yes, coming out of budget, it was unanimous to approve those transfers, the fundraiser, those items. That means our second is not required. So a movement is already made coming out of committee. It's been seconded coming out of committee. So we just need to vote as an LSC.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Sorry, motion out of committee. Seconded out of committee.
The fact that it's been approved and in committee means that it's already been motioned and seconded coming
really?
to here.
Okay. So all those in favor of the budget motioned in committee? Do we need to summarize what those are? I'm trying to find the notes from there.
That's also what you just shared.
Okay. What she said. Yeah. So okay. So they've been motioned, they've been seconded in committee. So we now need to vote to approve the transfers that we've just gone through here. All those in favor? I'm going to do favor, oppose, abstain. So all those in favor?
In favor.
Okay, thank you, Sasha. Amy Zemnick is raising her hand. Yes. Okay. All those opposed? Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much. It passes. Okay, next item on our agenda is an Arabic update. Dr. Luque Macias. And we do have a few slides that we're going to share as well. Thank you, Dr. Steinmiller, for facilitating that.
Which one?
It doesn't matter. One is a PDF, the other is a PowerPoint, whichever you think works best.
They're the same, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've allotted 10 minutes for this. Mr. Smith will be using the timer on that. So just FYI, you can begin anytime.
As soon as the slides are on. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So hello again. My name is Federico Luque Macias. I'm the Arabic teacher at Lincoln Park High School. And I want to start by saying that I'm going to talk about a problem that started Yes.
I'm probably going to have to leave right at the end shortly, so I'd like to make a motion to transfer, to make a temporary budget chair. We want to do this, or not budget, LSC chair for this meeting. We wanna-
Yes, I would make a motion for Lori Evans. Temporary chair.
Is there a second? It's going to run the rest of the meeting while I. Adams, thank you. All those in favor? Okay, great. Unanimous, thank you. Yeah, we should. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
So can we start the
You can
time?
start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we start.
All right. So hello again. My name is Federico Luque Macias. I'm the Arabic teacher at Lincoln Park High School. And I want to start by saying that this is a problem that dates back 2 years ago, where I presented to the LSC as well. And also I want to say that I'm not here to point the finger or put the blame on anybody. I just want to find solutions. So I'm just bringing this up to see if all together we can bring a solution, because the goal of this, it's our students. So I'm just advocating for the best of our students. Okay, so having said that, let me, next slide, please. So for those who don't know me or don't know me very much, you can read a little bit about me over here. So, so Arabic at Lincoln Park does not have any problems. There are 22 courses with less than 20 students, but this requirement is only being applied to IB Arabic, when our IB Arabic program is unique in Chicago, an example for other schools and programs, and uploaded by the international community. Arabic is the only one of those 22 which has lost its year 1 and whose years 3 and 4 have been merged into one class period. Therefore, we are talking about a case of possible discrimination, which is something serious. The only reason we're talking about this is because the administration put us in this situation. All the actions leading into it have been taken behind the back of this teacher and executed as done deals without informing or consulting with all stakeholders, in this case, me. Here is the timeline for this. Phase 1, 2 years ago, an unjustified attempt to eliminate Arabic 1. Phase 2, unjustified merge of Arabic 3 and 4. Phase 3, there was an error in the green card application for a necessary profile at Lincoln Park, which resulted in wasting $4,000 of the school budget. Phase 4, unjustified elimination of Arabic 1. And phase 5, that's where we are right now, elimination of the curricular status of Arabic as a subject. Because of two things. A, outside being offered or going to be offered outside of curricular hours, and B, forcing prospective students to take 2 languages simultaneously to be able to take Arabic 1 as a requirement. It is my belief that Arabic never had any problems. These have been created by the administration when the real underlying problem is programming, which affects all of our students at Lincoln Park High School. As I explained in my September 27 email to the LSC, I believe the system for the programming to be wrong. The Qatar Foundation International proposed funding a person to help with programming as part of their grants, which was ruled out by administration. Without Arabic 1 this year, and this is the most important thing to understand, we won't have Arabic 2 next year. And so IB Arabic students won't be able to comply with the 4-year language requirements. We need to clear all unnecessary obstacles and roadblocks to stop Arabic from phasing out at Lincoln Park High School. QFI offered to reapply, that they will reapplied for another grant after the first 2 years, but Dr. Simon Miller said, like, we're gonna have the budget for it for this year, so it's not needed. But then we haven't offered Arabic 1 this year. Time has gone by without taking any actions. So right now the only options are the $40,000 remaining from the previous grant that wasn't executed, that need to be used for promotion and recruitment, because this never happened. QFI, the Qatar Foundation, has offered more than this in many occasions. After all this happened, now Dr. Simon Miller seems to be open to fix this situation, which I really am happy to. those refer to in phase 5. So phasing out because of these requirements that we're putting now to opening Arabic 1 are problems and barriers for those students willing to study Arabic. Next slide, please. So Arabic is a critical language, and this is something that it's a label from the Department of State, from the government. It's spoken in most countries than any other of the critical languages. And it is difficult to find certified teachers of Arabic because most of those teachers are native speakers and they don't speak modern standard Arabic, which is the norm. It's a language that is understood in all the countries, but it's artificial in the sense that nobody really speaks it, but it's the language of culture. Next slide, please. We had Lincoln Park High School alumni who participated in this program from the government, which is the most prestigious programs to study abroad. And Natalie Myron, Danielle Hinojosa, Mia Weisblut are all, and I see Miss Kaylor nodding, she knows them. So Natalie Myron ended up in Northwestern University, Danielle Hinojosa in Yale University. What I want to say with this is that Arabic opened doors for students to get into these prestigious colleges. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the Qatar Foundation International. They have multiple programs for grants. They have grants for schools. They have grants for teachers. They have grants for students. So a lot of different options we could be looking at. And here are some of them. Next slide, please. So one of the things that the Qatar Foundation International found is the Arabic Honor Society, which we have a chapter opened up in 2017, actually, by Natalie Myron, the former student. And this provides a lot of opportunities for our students. Next slide, please. Among them, you can have a visual idea here. So Natalie Myron got $10,000 only because she studied Arabic in college after high school. So only by doing that, the Qatar Foundation International gives students a $10,000 grant. The next student, Peppa Watts, she got first a study abroad, a summer abroad grant of $5,000 by the same foundation, just by being in Arabic Honor Society. And then she also got an incoming freshman award. She didn't study Arabic as a major, but she did one course related to Arabic, and she got 7,500. Just no question asked, just towards tuition. Nothing in return, just by being there. Next slide, please. So this is our main funder, the Qatar Foundation International. They have a lot of things that they fund. I said schools, teachers and students. So many different grants that are available. But, you know, we got a grant from them in the last 2 years. But the grant included promotion, recruitment, which never happens. And now we have this remaining of the funds that we want to use because it's a requirement. And this never happened. So that's why we are in this situation. And it could have been avoided. So we lost the opportunity to apply for another grant this year.
About 2 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. So we lost the opportunity to apply for a grant this year. We could have applied, and Dr. Simon Miller, you know this, we've been talking about it. But, you know, like the programming, I think, is the main issue, and I think there should be more communication. I see some steps being taken this year into that direction, but we need to be, you know, like stakeholders, the teachers, they need to be included in the programming process, because this is a vital part of our administration of how our school runs, and it's been creating a lot of problems. And we want to help, we want to be proactive, and we know how to do it because we know our students, we know how to place students. And students' choice is important, but they need to be guided too. And by making those decisions in their own ways, we're ended up with problems that could have been avoided. Next slide, please. Oh, no, this slide. I'm sorry, this slide. So Mr. Thomas Maguire is associate director of the Center for Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Chicago. He's a former IB program graduate, and he's also the parent of one of my former students. So the University of Chicago is willing to like help and have more partnership with us. This is a flyer they came up with to promote the language and explain why Arabic. Next slide, please. So we need, more communication, more transparency, so we can achieve our objectives. And next slide, please. And just to sum up, programs like Arabic are made our students competitive and able to work in different countries and speak different languages, which is what the future of this country and what the future of the world is going to be. One example is my daughter. She graduated from Lincoln Park in 2018 in the IB program, and she's bilingual in English, Spanish, and French. Thank you so much. I really want to ask the LSC to consider this and to help us find a solution that is feasible for the good of our program in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Macias. Does anyone have any questions about his presentation? Any kind of conversation about the presentation?
Yeah, I would like to ask some clarifying questions, or actually help clarify some of these points. How many students do you have in your Arabic 3 and 4 combined classes?
How many students I have in that class now? I think they are around 20.
So part of the, well, are you sure that's the total number of students?
Of Arabic 3 and 4?
Your first period class, how many students do you have in total?
Let me think. I have 10 juniors, I think. I don't have the numbers right now, but I think there are 20. I have like seniors, juniors, and sophomores, because I have 2 sophomores who had conflicts because of the scheduling. They are drama majors and they couldn't be in their class, so they had to be in that class. So it's two sophomores. I think it's 10 or 12 juniors and some 6 seniors.
So yeah, because I know you have 3 total students in Arabic 3. You have 2 total students in Arabic.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No. I'm sorry. Let me correct that. I don't have a total of 3 students in Arabic 3. I have 3 students in the non-IB Arabic 3 class.
Correct, but part of the reason you talk about we had to combine classes, and part of the statement was the reason why we had to combine classes is because there's a group of 3 students who want to be in Arabic 3. There are 2 students who want to be in Arabic.
No, but Dr. Steinmiller, I'm sorry.
So
don't do that. Don't say that it's 3 students, because that's not true.
I'm looking at past.
No, but you know how many classes I have? I have like 10 or 14 classes, because they're all divided into different levels. But that doesn't mean that the Arabic 3 class is 3 students.
But the problem is, and this is why we had to combine classes, when you have a class, when you have 3 total students who want to take Arabic 3, when you have 10 total
But that's not
students,
true. I'm sorry. I have to repeat that. That's not true.
when you have 3 students who want to take Arabic 3, and you have 10 students who want to take the first level of IB Arabic, those are on par. That's why you would have a total of like 13 students who will be taking the junior level. That is the same structure that's set for the senior level, in which there's 10 students for IB and 2 for Arabic 4. Now, I do understand they're combined, but the point being, we had to combine them because we can't have a class of 2 and we can't have a class of 3. The reason we don't have Arabic 1 right now is not, I would love to see us have an Arabic 1 class. We have 7 students who requested to take Arabic 1. We cannot have a class of 7 students in a class. That is the entire and only reason why we don't have Arabic 1 right now, is 7 students requested it. 7 students requested it as their second and third choice. So 14 total, even if we had combined it. I've been very clear that we need to have at least 20 students in a class, or else we have lopsided enrollment. That is the entire purpose and reason why we do not have Arabic 1 right now. Now, I am making every effort to push Arabic, like support Arabic. You and I had a great meeting, and I thought, talking with Ms. Tookie, in which you'll send a letter out on Monday. We could have a 0 or a 9 period, or potential other options for the QFI to be able to help support students who maybe want to take Arabic 1 outside of the additional language they're taking right now. Secondly, QFI stated that this was supposed to be recruitment. You were paid out of your salary as a part of your position was to host the IB class, the Arabic classes, and to recruit. That was a part of the payment that was given to you as a part of your salary. So the fact that you stated that we did not do any recruitment, that was actually part of the salary allotment that QFI was paying for your position to allow you to have classes under the size of 10. And so that happened 2 years ago, and that's the reason we had this set up. So I just want to clarify some of the misconceptions that were just shared.
Okay, but I would like to have an opportunity to reply to those because I think there are some inaccuracies in what you're saying. Let me start by the last one. You're saying that my salary paid by QFI was for promotion too, but that should have been something extra, right? Because I'm not supposed to do recruitment, which I did anyway. I did promotion and recruitment anyway, and we increased our numbers after that year. We went from 17 to 32 at the beginning of the year, 26 at the end of the year. So, you know, Marienda Tukey and me, we did our recruitment, although I wasn't paid for it. So when you say that I should have done it from that salary, that's wrong. If you wanted to do me to do recruitment, you should have paid me extra for that. And that didn't happen. So that's a misconception. I don't know, that there's so many things you said, but one of the problems that I've been seeing these last few years in how programming has been done that has been affecting enrollments in language classes is that there are many students who speak a language at home and they are in that language at Lincoln Park. And that's part of the recurrent theme that Marienda Tukey has been saying, that we need to push our students, we need to challenge our students to take another language if they are fluent already in a language. And this is something that is happening across all languages. So if that would be a part of the process of the programming, then we wouldn't be talking about only 7 students for Arabic. And I know from a fact that I have in my classes right now, 8 students who were willing to take Arabic, and they speak Spanish, 6 of them, just like I do, but they're still in the Spanish class. And I've tried to move them to the heritage class, but it didn't happen.
May I ask a question? So
Sure.
you said that there are folks who speak a native language, and I'm assuming that you mean Spanish and that they take the Spanish class. So you're saying that those native speakers should take another class to be challenged?
In many cases, yes. There might be some exceptions in which students need to acquire some skills that they're lacking.
Yeah, I mean, I think like English speakers take English classes, right? So Spanish speakers can take Spanish classes. Wouldn't you?
No,
agree?
but the language teachers, we've been seeing like all throughout these years, how there are some students who take a Mandarin class, for example, but they already speak it at home, and they take it because it's an easy pass. And that happens a lot in
Well,
Spanish.
there's a lot of correction that needs to happen, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree that somebody may speak it natively, doesn't really know the grammatical?
Well,
composition?
I'm sorry. No,
Okay.
thank you for
Thank you.
that.
I want you to
for
clarify
that
that.
nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I mean to say is that language teachers, we have placement tests in place, and when we say that a student, it's not necessarily only that they speak it at home. They've gone through these placement tests. We have personal interviews with them, and we know that they would be better off taking another language.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, Dr. Steinmiller. I know there are other classes that had impacts from students not indicating interest or potentially other programming concerns. So have there been other efforts to promote other classes that either were eliminated or were under enrolled this year? Because I know right now we're talking about Arabic, but I don't know if there's been symmetry across other programs that might have been impacted by this.
Actually, for the most part, we were able to get prediction of course requests from our students based on the numbers, and we're able to align that for the most part from the beginning. Like for example, we knew that Mandarin was growing, so we were able to expand that to 3 Mandarin classes this year. And this is about students' voice too, that they are selecting the classes and classes and languages that they prefer to choose. Had we had more than 20, we would have had our Arabic one. And that's just what this comes down to. And if a student wants to take a language for 4 years, and that's what we want to promote, because it takes 5 years to become academically proficient in a language. I'm saying academic, not just like, even somewhat to the point about even maybe speak Spanish doesn't mean they know how to write or read in that language. And so it takes about 5 years to become academically proficient. We've demonstrated over the last several years the amount of students getting the state syllabi literacy. we're one of the leaders in our district for the students obtaining that. It's new over the last 2 years. We have 25% of our students getting state seal biliteracy because they take that for 4 years. And so we want to keep promoting that. I want to see investment in Arabic, but we just have to have the student interest to be able to take it. And that's why through QFI, I met with them earlier this week, that they are extending that allotment of $39,000 with the intent for the major intent for recruitment partnership with our elementary school, building up interest so that we have students who are interested in taking Arabic 1 to create sustainability to this as well. That's what we're focusing on. But this, for the most part, we have had, besides like a 1 or 2 classes with freshmen coming in where we had to make some adjustments, for the most part, there wasn't a closure of many classes based on lack of student interest or involvement.
Will Arabic 1 be offered? Will Arabic 1 be offered next year?
Absolutely.
And if it's not, if we don't get enough students, then we'll have to close the class again. So it'll be offered to test to see if we have the interest.
Be an option for our students. To the point, I know it was presented too about an extension of like a green card. The green card process, just so to clarify that too, we want to make sure we have it in our position. The way that goes is anybody who applies for a green card, the board posts the position, and if any qualifying American can fill that position, a green card is not granted. That's the process. In the case I did support the teacher in this position to get the green card. There are numerous candidates who demonstrated that they were interested in the position, or we could not move forward with green cards. This wasn't about paperwork. This was just about another American citizen was eligible for the position.
Yeah, but please let me clarify that point. So when I said that there was an error in that, what I mean is, and I did point it out before the process was finished, is that the position was advertised as Arabic only. So there were candidates who were American citizens who were certified to teach Arabic, and that's why the process had to stop. But my point was, but I teach Arabic and Spanish, and that's a unique thing in CPS. There's nobody. So if we would have advertised the position as the reality of the need that the school has, it would have gone through because there's nobody else. I know that. I mean, I've heard that from CPS staff, that there's nobody in the whole of CPS who's certified to teach both Arabic and Spanish. And my point is, if we have done that, and I said it before the process was finished, then we wouldn't be in that situation, and we would have saved the money that we had to invest from the school in the application.
Can I say something? I'm going to mark my words carefully. I think we're missing the big picture here, and that is, and I agree with all of you, and some of it's not even agreement, it might just be factual. We have been an IB school that has always drawn students that are intellectually curious and wanting to challenge themselves. And I agree completely with the Spanish. It's also, I think, through an American lens that, you know, Spanish is an easier language than Mandarin or Arabic. And students English speakers choose to take Spanish as a language because it is an easier. I took Spanish. It's much easier to tackle than perhaps an Arabic or a Mandarin. But what are we doing as a school to not encourage more students to take those classes? I'm seeing a lot has been placed on the admin, a lot has been placed here. What a wonderful opportunity to find ways to encourage students to take Arabic. And I've seen over time the opportunities that have been granted to those students. And I'm not sure if kids coming into Lincoln Park realize the opportunities that can be available to them by taking an Arabic language and look at international politics and the global scene, right? Kids should be encouraged to be taking, because that's where our direction is these days as well. So
and that's my point. You know, I will always remember an example that Miss Marianda Tukey put to me, and I think she brought it up to this council at some point, how a student who went into the music program the only instrument that was left was the French horn, and the student didn't want to do French horn. It's like, no, that's the last instrument that I would choose. And how years later she thanked her for pushing her to take that instrument because it changed her life. And so that's what I mean. Like, I understand, obviously we want to respect what students want to do and what students choose, but I think as educators, especially in an IB school, we should be able to guide students in and talk to them into possibilities that may change their lives in the future. And when I'm talking about Arabic, and again, I'm not even a native speaker. I'm Jewish. I'm not Arab. So it's not that I'm doing this for the love of the subject, and because it's the subject, I mean, the language that has more opportunities in the US, and I know this for a fact. There's no other language with so much support, so many opportunities for schools, teachers, and students.
Well, I think one, I just really appreciate your passion on this, and we're lucky to have a teacher like you who cares so much about this, and it's a painful thing right now because we want more students to have this experience, and obviously I respect Principal Steinmiller not wanting to put 40 kids into a Spanish class because and put that on one teacher, 45, or just trying to make it work. So it sounds like there's some good ideas for how we can drive the demand. We have to affect the demand. And I think one thing I haven't heard mentioned that we should try, and maybe you've already done this, but is the peer-to-peer conversations about it. Young people, the administration can say, but like young people listen to their peers more than anything else. I think it's fair to say. And so if some of the young people who are having good experiences, if we can engage them in that recruitment to talk to their friends, or to talk at when eighth graders are coming in and starting to select things, like the more we can engage them saying like, this is really good, I love it, it's fun, it's engaging, I'm learning that there's the scholarship available, blah blah blah. I think that might help. But ultimately I do think everyone here is in good faith. Like, I think everyone in this room wants Arabic to survive at this high school, but there are real logistical problems, so we have to change that demand. So just thank you for all you're doing, but I think that's the challenge of what we have to affect.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Quick question. So is Arabic only for IB students? No. And I feel like if we promoted that more to neighborhood students, because I'm a neighborhood student and that's how I got in, I feel like especially with the 7.5K only being able to take something that's associated with Arabic for college, I'm looking at my college apps and that tuition and I'm just like, whoa, that 7.5K would definitely help. And I feel like if we definitely promoted it towards different groups of students and the benefits of it a lot more, and a lot more to parents more than to students, it would push a lot more. But then it's also on the parent side, we don't have a lot of parents that are pushing for their kids. Because I know a lot of my friends, they go home and their parents don't look at their grades, don't care what they're doing. So I feel like it's not only on the school side, but then that's where that disconnect kind of happens. It's on the parent and the school. So I feel like that's a bridge that I don't know how it would build it or gauge that gap. But I feel like that's also a gap that should be taken into consideration.
I think what we can do is, I know this year on May 4th, we had all our incoming freshmen coming in. I know you spoke to them trying to recruit for the class. So I know we made attempts. We still only had 7, but maybe the point is then we bring some of the students, we make sure parents are being talked to, and maybe we'll have more of that outcome. I know we made those efforts, and let's think about how we can get students more involved in that process, because maybe they'll connect more with, I know that didn't happen this time. I appreciate you presenting to those students May 4th. But let's get some students to be a part of that process too, and maybe we can get more students to be in the class. Yeah, if you remember when you told me the numbers, and this is something I've also been telling you, I'm willing to help, even do work that I'm not paid for. So can you share the information? Can you share the numbers? Can you share the projected students? So if you do that, I'm gonna be able to help, and help you with the work that you have to do. And when you told me that we had 14 students total, I told you I already talked to 3 or 4 more outside of those 14 who told me they would do it. And I have one of them in my class, in my Spanish class right now. So
all right, we're going to take one more comment.
Yeah, my question was, what happened to the grant money? Is it all from the past few years? Is it just sitting in a bucket, just waiting to be used?
No, my understanding of what happened, and this is something that I'm not part of, so my name is not on the grant. This is something between the foundation and our school through the Chicago Children's First Fund Foundation. But the understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Steinmiller, is that there were some funds that were not spent, some $40,000. Was it the first year or the second year?
Yeah, I mean, so they put it into 2 installments. So what they did is they gave the first installment, but to open up a position, you have to have full funding for it. So we use half the installment to pay for half of the Arabic position, and then half student-based budgeting funds for the second. The second installment we didn't receive until May, the point in which Chicago Public Schools would not allow us to put any more purchase orders or spending. Had we that money dropped and they given us at that time, the board would have swept it up. So then we asked for a delay so that the board didn't collect it. That's taken to ultimately where we are right now. We've gotten approval for it. The emphasis should be on a consultant for recruitment so that we can build sustainability for Arabic 1 next year. I met with QFI, Children's Funds First, and that's the intent. That's where they want the funding to go because that's going to build for next year's program. We can make it work where we could try to have access to some Arabic 1, but the priority must be to recruit.
So I just want to clarify. So half of it went to this position and then half of it went, when you say student-based budgeting, does that mean it just went into the pool to pay for any class? Or what do you mean by that?
So,
or are you just saving it? Sorry, I don't understand.
Student-based budgeting. When we get our budget in the spring, each student waits ultimately to $6,400. We have about $14 million that pays for teachers' salaries and benefits. So we had to use 0.5 of that position. So that student-based budgeting went to the Arabic position. QFI paid for the other 0.5. With the intent that the classes could be small, like 10 or 12, and that recruitment would be in place. And so that's the intent and purpose of the original grant, which allowed us to be able to do that. And then that money carried over and needed to be spent.
Yeah. I'll just
So it
add,
all went to this. That's all.
yeah, and I'll just add that like normally what happens inside of the spreadsheet, the budget tracker, is it will list this under grants so that the LSC actually can track. And so it's not there right now, but last year you would have seen it. And the year before you would have seen it. And so this isn't the first time, obviously, we've talked about, the grant.
All right. Well, one more question about this real quick. So I know there was an issue with how many kids are interested. Is the 20 kids in a class, is that like a hard stop? I just asked because I know there's other classes with less students and then you have classes with like 40 kids. So I'm wondering, how are we justifying this across the board?
Yeah, if you have a class that there are under 20, during our student selection, then that class, so if you have a class of 15, you have one class of 15, somewhere else there's going to be a larger class. So as we think through the averages of how the classes are set up, you do have classes that are smaller, especially when we have second year IB courses, because if you take IB first year and don't take the second, you don't get the diploma. You also have classes, for example, I know in math, where you may have 39 students who are interested in a specific class. We can't have 39, so you'll have a class of 20 and a class of 19. That is, in essence, below 20, but that is also a specific course. So this goes down, a class can't make when you have 7. We have classes that we had to close, like in class that we already were going through that we knew we're going to have 15, those would not make as well as the original courses, unless it's going to impact them getting the diploma.
This is a really, oh, sorry.
Yeah, so get back to
But I'd like to get back to, can we still salvage Arabic 1 this year? Is there a plan for that? Or is that a done deal that we cannot salvage it?
Yesterday, we're going to survey students on Monday. Let's go out. They're interested in participating in an Arabic 1 class in addition to their current language. So it could be a 0 period, a 9 period, or something like that. Look in the middle of the day. We're gauging overall interest to do this in addition. Why this must be in addition to is if we can't say there's only 8 kids, we cannot have area 2. They can then move into their second year with the other language.
Unless we get a grant, which the foundation is said in many occasions that they're willing to do whatever it takes.
Thanks. That
again, the funds from the QFI will go to recruitment and consultant, but if the opportunity to be able to have at least one class, it could be a 0 period, a 9 period. But the number one point we're going to ask and send out to all students, which you and Ms. Tukey are putting together, is just a letter of interest. Are you interested in taking Arabic 1 in addition to your classes? Name, student ID, yes or no. And at that point, we can gauge interest. If we do not have enough to make that work, then we use the entirety of the QFI funds towards the consultant, towards recruitment, so that we can get 1 or 2 Arabic 1 classes next year, which should be what we should aim to focus on. Yeah.
How is the coordination with the foundation? I mean, the simple question is it possible in the context of uncertainty to have money guaranteed? So it would actually help situation if you know that you have money, no whatever happens, then you could play with it. I mean, how does this work?
Well, I mean,
how is this money getting in?
Yeah, all I can say is that it was myself, the Arabic teacher, who reached out to this foundation in the first place when 2 years ago administration said that Arabic 1 was not going to be offered because of the reasons that we've heard. You know, it was literally, it was told to me in June by my department chair. And she said, like, Arabic 1 was not going to be offered. I said, why? Because there's not 20 students and we had 17. So I was kind of shocked. Anyway, I brought in the foundation because I've been the chapter lead of the Arabic Honor Society since 2017, and that's run by them. So that's where my connection with them comes from. So in the course of these years, I've grown a much closer relationship, among other things, because once they started giving the school grants, we are a sponsor school, and as such, they invite me every year. So this summer has been the second year to a summer institute that they organize. So, you know, I've been meeting them one-on-one. I've been collaborating with them. So, and what they're telling me is that that they are willing to do what it takes. And the good thing is that there are many formulas because they have many different types of grants. And for this problem 2 years ago, they actually made a one-time thing that is not in their program of grants. So they made it tailor-made for the school and for the need that we had at that time. So this is how willing they are to help to keep Arabic in at Lincoln Park and not lose it. And
I think this is important because it's good to know that they are flexible enough to support the level of uncertainty because of the importance of the program. So we are still at the same page, but then if their numbers are low, I mean, the promotion is it's also what are the steps? The promotion, what you are doing right now, and hopefully students as well, peer-to-peer talking about it, talking about the grants in a future life that they could get. So, but it's good to have them backing up the process, which is obviously now going on. And yeah, that's a good thing in a way.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I would like to answer a couple of things that were commented first by Akoya. That's your name. So Akoya, you're totally right. The foundation had like harder rules at the beginning. So they would only give this incoming freshman award of up to $10,000. It's not 10,000, it's up to 10,000. So Natalie Myron, she got $10,000 because she decided, I'm going to major in Arabic. And that was a requirement at the beginning. Now they relaxed their requirements, partly because I've been pushing. So Peppa Watts, she was really interested in Arabic, but she wanted to major in something else. So we talked about this and they decided, okay, if you take another requirement is if you take one course only in all your college years, one in year one, we're going to give you the award. It's not going to be 10,000, but in her case was 7.5, which is still very good. And that goes to tuition. And she told me it's literally nothing like college applications. It was a 30-minute application online. That's it. And no questions asked. So it's a very good incentive, right? To especially for those students who maybe never thought about studying Arabic, but now that's an incentive for them to consider it, right?
How many schools in Chicago? Again, I know I know we're have an Arabic program.
So
CPS schools.
Yeah, CPS schools. There are 7 or 8 elementary schools and 7 or 8 high schools. As you can see, I'm not a math person. I don't know my numbers very well, but that's why I have to write everything down. But yeah, it's like all in all, it's like around 14. Some of them are our feeder schools. Dr. Steinmiller just told me that that was very coincidental, right? The Arabic teacher at Harriet Tubman Elementary just reached out to me like 2 days ago to say that she wanted to come visit my class because they were looking at our school website and some of their students were interested in coming here. So she said, like, can I come visit your class? I say, oh, by all means. And the next day I talked to Dr. Steinmiller. I said, like, I've been there today. So I don't know how that happened, but it was interesting. So yeah, there are a number of schools. I mean, some schools that are feeder schools. We had a conversation about this also. Not exactly feeder schools, but like La Salle Language Academy, it's not exactly a feeder school, right? But it's in our area of attendance. And yeah, there are others. But right now that they offer Arabic, only Tubman is in our area of feeder schools. But there are a number of other schools that have been sending students my way in the last few years because the teachers are asking me, how is the program? Is the program still good? So yeah, so we had some very good students actually being sent because they studied Arabic through the elementary or middle school, and we placed them in a higher level. So they ended up doing like Arabic B, like higher level, because they studied before in coming to Lincoln Park.
We just, in the spirit of time, this was a great conversation. I don't want to limit it, but I'm just saying, just so we can make sure that we let other people go through.
Thank you, Dr. Macias. We really appreciate your presentation and wish you all the best with your recruitment efforts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let me just say one last thing. So I know we're being proactive trying to find solutions. Next year, obviously, we know how to go about it. The real problem is what are we gonna do about this year with Arabic 1? And there are some options, but they're not really, like, and this is the last thing I wanted to tell the students. Do you think, how many students do you think would be willing to take Arabic at this point of the year and the language they're already taking?
I wouldn't.
So you see, this is my point, Dr. Samile. I know we're in a difficult situation, but I've been trying to do whatever it took to overcome before we are in this situation, but we are in this situation now. And I know we can try, and it's a good thing that we try that. But honestly, and that's why I wanted to hear the voice of students, I think there are not very high hopes with that.
I would say though, I'm sure that the number wouldn't be 0. I'm sure that there would be some interest that you'd be able to generate, even if you're just going off of the scholarship numbers alone. I mean, one of the great things about LP is that we have an extremely motivated student body. So if Arabic happens to be one of their, outside interests, then I think that there could absolutely be some opportunity to expand during the school year.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate the time to discuss as well, not only to present. Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to move on. The next item on our agenda is Friends of Lincoln Park High School. Do we have? Oh, there we go.
I'm excited to be here in person. I'm Sabrina Spitznagel. Thank you. So I don't have a ton to report today other than amazing news, which you guys are getting this hot off the presses. I'm so excited. We are in the midst of our pledge drive, which is supposed to be about 2 more weeks, but we have exceeded our goal already. I cannot actually believe. So we're gonna still keep it going. Probably we're just at over $64,000, which is amazing. We're gonna keep it going to try to get more participation, hopefully, because there's still not a huge number of people who have participated. But I'm really excited about the number, excited to figure out how we will spend it. And our meeting is on Tuesday at 6 in here. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you there. And we dropped off some treats for the teachers on conference day, which hopefully were enjoyed. And I think conferences were a success. And I also just wanted to thank Dr. Steinmiller for putting together the National Letter of Intent signing day yesterday. It was exciting. I'm excited for both boys. And yeah, I think that's more or less it. We'll be getting started for stuff for the spring semester. And we have a lot of new volunteers, a lot of new people. just a reminder, my son's a senior. He's going to be out of here. So hopefully, I think we have someone who's going to be taking over, but there are lots of opportunities for now and next year. And does anyone have any questions?
Just thank you so much for all you do.
Oh gosh, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabrina. All right. Well, that's some great news. So glad that we're met our goal or close to meeting the goal with 2 weeks to go. So from that, we're going to go on to the principal's report.
All right. Well, I'm going to actually go up there. Not here. So again, it's the state of the school, so it's a little bit different than a normal. Well, the state of the school, because there's a lot of really great news to share with you all. You'll notice that this is a state of the school address. It involves also some of the district-wide information. So that's why you'll see some slides that are kind of new and different from some of the ones I do traditionally, but let's get this going. All right. Excellent. All right, so this is the state of the school. So the entire focus of this, as you'll see, as we talk about Lincoln Park High School, where we are, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. But you also see some of the purpose of some of CPS's mission, their recommitments to the school, some shifts that have happened over a couple of years that actually align with the work that we're doing. So I think I'll carry this around because I know I'm going to move. But I also want us to show our school's progress, priorities, and collective efforts. And you'll see some of that alignment with our CIWP as it's all now becoming more and more cohesive. So moving into some of the district, you're going to see some of the district's CPS mission and blueprint, see how our continuous improvement, and this is really reflecting on things that have happened last year, and I'm pretty geeked about it. I've given some previews to some of the senior leadership team and different people, just excited about some of the accomplishments that we have made. And then looking ahead, using our CIWP as well as we go into the next school year in 2024 to challenge the success that we have had. So part one, you're going to see CPS's mission and blueprint. You've seen this apple before, as there's a focus on the academic progress, operational excellence, and building trust. And these are things that are coming from the district level. And then recommitments to that, kind of not adding anything new, but staying focused on how can we improve and increase student outcomes and opportunities. And we'll get to that too. So this is the core. Again, this is CPS's vision statement. We're in line with it. You're going to see that a lot of what we are doing matches exactly with what the district is doing. In some ways, we're actually exemplifying what that work should look like, which is exciting. These are the core values of the district as well as we're focused on as well. And you can see that from continuous learning, community partnerships, the academic excellence that we demand and expect at Lincoln Park High School, and then maintaining that it's student-centered and that we're supporting all of our children and all our students. I don't really say children all that much. That was weird. So, but all of our students at the school. And as we look at the graduate profile, sorry, that was weird. I've never done that before. But the graduate profile, as we look at the different things we want from our students, and this is really what, again, I think a Lincoln Park High School student through our IB program and our IB philosophies, our middle years program, what would you see? Our students are empowered decision makers, just like the three of you here. And we want our students to be inquisitive. We want them to challenge ideas. And so this is something that I see in our students that is also expected district-wide. So the district does have a 5-year strategic plan. You're hearing some shifts in how principals are evaluated and assessed, schools are looked at. What does it mean to be successful as a school? There are a lot of kind of in previous school ratings, things that weren't always equitable from school to school. And there's been a shift to try to be more equitable in the evaluation of different schools. This is our school vision and mission. You've seen it's aligned with our identity as an international baccalaureate school. And it's exciting and it's fun. And that's what we're going to see in some of the work that we've been doing leading to the student outcomes. Now, what I'll ask is, it's a lot of information. I'm going to try to make sure I keep the pacing right. But what I'll ask is please hold off questions to the very end, because sometimes you may see something and have a question that actually will be answered later in this. And so we don't kind of have some redundant responses to this. But this is where we begin. So we'll start with, again, some of the continuous improvements, some of the things that the district is wanting to see within the continuous improvement. What you are seeing within this is they want you to know every detail that's happening with our students, in short. There are opportunities for any community member to be a part of some of the district level and involvement with the blueprint, but ultimately it's all aligned to our CIWP, to building, again, cohesion between schools and the district. And this is where the continuous improvement work plan, we've already voted and supported this as a school, as we're focusing on curriculum instruction, connectedness and well-being, as well as post-secondary success. That doesn't mean we're not focused on partnerships and engagement. It does not mean we're not focused on inclusivity and supportive learning. That's embedded within a lot of the work that we do as a school. So what you're going to see is trend data leading up to where our successes are, where some of our areas of development are. And then as a local school council, how we can support that continuous development, the continuous success. And I'm very excited about this. So let's get started. Some things outside of just straight out student outcomes. Again, with US News and World Report, I know Ms. Tookie even came into my office, kind of like, look at all the great successes that we're finding as a school. Also within niche.com, you can see that we are the standout high school in Illinois, not just Chicago, but in Illinois, for some of the experiences. And also something to really celebrate is the diversity of our school being the 4th most diverse school in Illinois as well. And then you can see the magnet programs and the other areas to be celebrated. My goal is to keep the final one, you see the athletics continuing to grow as we find success in those extracurricular programs. But what you'll see is these are all the metrics. You're going to see some changes that have moved in a positive and some that have gone in a negative, but I'm going to explain that when I get to those slides. And I think you'll actually see there's some positive successes even in some of the negatives. So just don't look at this slide and think, oh, that's the whole story. There's actually quite a bit more to it. Yes. Here, I can share it with you all. All right. Cool. Get back to slideshow. You're going to see a breakdown of these. This is just kind of a brief overview of the different topics, but I'll explain those as we go through each slide. I shared that with all of you, so you have that in your deck. Again, a lot of this information was shared from the district for me to be able to share it with you. So here is our attendance 1-year change. From last year to this year, attendance is an area of focus, and I'm not saying that it's where we want it to be yet. We're at 84.6 overall attendance. We are seeing growth from school year 22 to 23 in every one of our subgroups. It is not good enough, but it is something that we've shown some improvements, being it from some of the tardies. Again, I think there's a lot of things we can do for skipping of class, and we're focusing on that as well. But you see our overall attendance rate is 84.6. It is to be noted also in the district, there has been also a drop in attendance. Post-COVID, we have seen just a difficult response for getting students into class, district-wide, nationally, and specifically for us. But I am very proud that we're making some of these steps forward year to year. Even though it's minimal, it is still in every subgroup, from our diverse learners to different subgroups of populations of students. You can see that we're making a level of growth. This is how we compare to our network, not the overall district, but our regional area. And you can see that still not as good as we want it to be. It's better than the overall network and where the network is at. But we have to make some improvements in these areas, and we have some great ideas on how to do that moving forward. But again, this is just sharing out where we are right now. But it is good to see that we are making at least some positive trends in those areas. Another cohort or area you're going to pay attention to is our 5-year graduation rate. Now, this data is not as positive. Just to kind of bring perspective to this, our overall 5-year cohort graduation rate is 84.8 for all students. You can see we've had some success within our English learner population and our Black assigned male population of students. One thing to think of, this is the freshman class of 17-18. So if we think about our 5-year cohort graduation rate, students who entered 17-18, 18-19, and over a 5-year period, this is the graduation rate. So this does include 2 years of students who were here pre-COVID. I know I wasn't necessarily here for those groups of students as they were here, but that's a part of what we have to pay attention to in graduation rates. So a lot of the students here, COVID, remote learning happened right in the middle of their experience. And that's huge. And that impacts the overall graduation rate. If you, in the middle of your learning experience, you had this magic rip in your learning experience, it had an impact in graduation rate. So this is something we're going to continue to focus on. That's also why post-secondary supports is one of our CIWP priorities. So we want to make sure that we're changing this trajectory. And it's starting to improve as you go into the four-year cohort graduation rate. So again, this is getting a little bit, still has the COVID, right? And all the different things that happened in the middle of it. But across the board, you're now seeing more areas of success, especially when it comes to diverse learning, English language learners, Black assigned females, and Black assigned males. And again, there's some consistency, especially with our Black male students, and that we're finding some consistency of support and improving a data point that for 20, 30 years has demonstrated a need for attention. And so I'm very excited that we're making some of these points of progress. And we're going to keep doing that, as you're going to see in some of our future slides. But again, this is a group that was really disrupted by COVID being in the middle of their educational experience. Now, this is something I am absolutely geeked about. And this is something with our college career coach, our counselors. We've also had alumni supports put in place. This is our college enrollment rate. You are seeing a one-year change pretty much across the board to 88.5%. And I'm so excited to share this because you can see how we compare to the network, that we're continuing to grow in our college enrollment. We're outdoing and outperforming our network. This is something to be celebrated, especially to celebrate this. This is the second highest college enrollment we have had in 13 years. We almost beat our record in 13 years, which happened in 2018 with 88.6. We were 0.1% from breaking a record. So I'm talking about 13 years. You can see back in 15, 16, we were kind of in the below 80s. Now we're almost breaking 90% in college enrollment. This is something to be celebrated. Celebrate our teachers, the interventions and supports that are going on. Like, this is something that doesn't happen at all schools. I'm very, very proud of this. We should be proud of this as a local school council, of the work we're doing. To imagine that we have almost the highest enrollment in 13 years. As we look at our persistence, which means not only do our students go to college, but they stay in college, we almost broke that. We were at 89% last year. Obviously, we have to make sure our freshmen in college persist this year. But the last time was 2019, that was 90.4. So we are really doing some phenomenal work. This is why you see that, our college career coach, and we have staff do alumni supports to make sure that our students are going to college, persisting in college. That's some of the additional things that we've put in place over the last couple of years. So thank you all. I'm proud of you all for the work that you've done to help support this, our teachers and our students, to be able to do this work. Now we're looking at our early college and career credentials. You can see, I won't stick on this slide because I think these kind of slides get overwhelming and trying to make sense of things, and you're better off seeing something like here. Again, we are seeing, this means the percentage of students who graduated, if we're thinking about that they've earned college career credits over 4 years. We've put a lot of things in place, and we had one of the most significant jumps last year. We did not meet the same jump that we had last year. We've been focusing on our state seal of biliteracy. Again, of all the high schools in the city of Chicago, we're ranked 9th for the highest percentage of students earning the state seal of biliteracy. And that's including schools, selective enrollment. That's including everybody. A lot of the schools actually above us are language schools. This is some really good stuff that we are doing. And you're going to see a breakdown of how we are achieving early college career credentials and what's about to come. And I think there's some signs that our early college career credentials are going to be higher than ever. So as we look at this, this is the AP, this just came out, and this is our AP accessibility 5-year trends. This means students who have access to take an advanced placement class. So it's going back to 1920, you can see it was about 34%, and we have jumped over 56 to nearly 56%. So we have almost doubled the amount of students who have access to advanced placement. This is significant. Now, part of it is we now offer AP World Studies to our freshmen. And so this is a starting point. And there's tons of research. Even if you get a 2 in AP World Studies at the very beginning, you are now more prepared for college, but also other advanced placement classes. So we have that structure to be able to support our students over 4 years, but also get more students access. So the group of freshmen, actually this year's sophomores, in 2 years, when they become seniors, our early college career credentials are just going to start to explode because we'll have more opportunities for them to have earned credit over a 4-year period, not just wait till their second year or wait till their third or fourth year to be able to have access to college credit bearing classes. And so this is about access. And what's cool about it is not only do we have access, but you see that our subgroups are having access. As you look at our Black population of students, it's almost to a point of doubling. You see, it's just across the board, students have access to college level classes at Lincoln Park High School. And this can't be said at all schools. And this is something that we've been intentional in our development of class offerings, and then also through how our students are programmed and select certain classes. So this is something we should be very, very proud of, because not all schools look like this. And this is also why we've been recognized by the district. Last week, I was invited to where the CEO and the mayor as one of the top schools for creating access and early college career credentials and opportunities for our students. And was really proud to be able to participate in the amount of growth that we are seeing right here. And you can see it's not just that our students are finding success with that access across the board. So we are beating, again, as we kind of look through the trends, think about how COVID has an influence in this. We're making our way back into finding that success rate for our students earning the credits in ways we're hitting pre-pandemic and actually better than some of the areas pre-pandemic. And so this is a lot of hard work has been put into this by our teacher, staff, students, and teams to accomplish this. You can see also the same thing is happening with IB. So within our IB, with our careers program, our diploma program, that we're starting to see continued access to those programs as well. So advanced placements, it's happening within IB. Again, we're in IB for all schools. So as we go through the 9th and 10th grade years, we want our students to get in the diploma program and careers program. Maybe the diploma program isn't right for everybody. Careers program is a great opportunity, and we're seeing that start to grow. You saw that in a presentation by Mr. Kanzen, Ms. McCormick, and Ms. Tukey, 2 or 3 LSC meetings ago, just about the amount of students who are starting to get more involved within IB. So what you see within the success rate, and please note the percentage, that you see the gap, it's a 1% gap. So we have more students. We have the amount of students scoring 4s isn't as high by 1%. But we're pretty much static with an increased amount of students having access to IB classes, which is pretty significant. And again, a 4 isn't required for all classes to be able to get the diploma or even in the careers program. So but that is something that you would look for as almost like a standalone. If it were IB class, AP class, a 4 would get you off in credit in college. What you see is our AP exam 1-year change. And so you see that we do have a drop in the overall percentage of students who are getting at that 3+, but you also have to think we've almost doubled the amount of students who are taking it. So this isn't just going back to this slide. If we think about it, we have this many more students taking it, and you still have more students who are finding success with it overall. We're having a bit of a drop in this. We're at 47.5% of our students who are getting the credit, but we have more students taking the class. So freshman year, all the students took that class, not all the students passed it. So you would still have more students who are ultimately earning college career credit because they are passing it overall. But it does create a dip when you have more people take it. You have more people getting college career credits. This is how we compare, and this is where you can see that dip. So even though we are dipping in the overall percentage earning it, we're also having almost double the amount of students who are taking an exam. So does that make sense what I'm saying, hopefully? If you have more students take it, the ratio maybe go down a little bit. So this is PSAT, and this is an area that we want to continue to focus on. While we have actually a pretty high success rate, there is a 1-year dip in change in the amount of students that are finding success with PSAT. We are finding that a lot of students are coming in from elementary schools at all sorts of different levels. And you're going to see in some of the slides I'm about to show what we can do with students in 3 years. And so students coming in, we do have our 9th and 10th graders take the PSAT. We have all our students take it in the fall and in the spring so that we can really pay attention to how to support the students and so we can help each of our students grow. Consistently, you see through the slides that we're been focused on our Black male population of students. That is a category that's been growing in every one of these areas. And it's something that I've been intentional about for 4 years. So you see this with PSAT change, and this is our SAT. We're still growing. Our SAT over 3 years through the 9th and the 10th grade experience, by the time our students become juniors, we're growing in almost every single category. for the SAT. And this is what gets our students into college. This is amazing. This is the hard work of our teachers and our students. This is making sure our students have access to the classes so they can grow over 3 years. And you can see where we compare to the rest of the network. It's significant. And you got to think all the things that have been going on in our students' lives with COVID and everything else, for us to still find the type of growth, you get a certain score in the SAT, it's access, it's the scholarships. It's what gets you into the right best fit universities where a student will enroll and persist. And that's what we're focused on. And this is just tremendous work. Not all schools look like this, especially post-COVID. Unknown caller. No problem. This is our 9th grade on track. And this has been it's kind of scattered across the board. Again, as you have a lot of students coming in from different 8th grade experiences, how do we make sure we're supporting our students? I want to see better than 85.1%. I know we can do that. And we're going to continue to build systems to be able to do this. But you can see that this is something that we're going to continue to concentrate on so that we have, my goal is to be over 90% of our students to be on track year to year. I know we can get to 95%. So this is something that you see us striving for, and that's why we focus on connectedness and well-being and curriculum and instruction. So we can make sure that our students in 9th grade are supported over a 4-year period. Make sure I hit the right one. Oh, I'm so excited about this one. Sorry, I'm really geeked about this one too. We've concentrated on social emotional learning. Sorry, I keep saying geeked every time. We've focused on social emotional learning through COVID and everything else, knowing that our students have been struggling. It's been hard on adults. It's been hard on students. I can't be more proud of our social emotional learning, our student support advocates, our youth intervention specialists. This does not look the same at every school. We're talking about a 10-year period in which our students have made we've seen significant reductions in out-of-school suspensions. We've seen significant reductions in high-level misconducts by students. So I want you to, as you look at this, you see the group 5, 6 misconducts. That's fights. That's all sorts of other terminology I don't even want to get into. You see that we had 25 of those last year. And over 10 years, look, 78, 69, 46, 45. This is the lowest in a non-COVID year in which we did not have students in the building to be suspended. So what you saw last year is a shift in the culture of our school, that we do not have those types of misconducts occurring at the rate we did before. Furthermore, you do not see the percentage of misconducts resulting in suspension. It's the lowest except for the year in which we did not have students in our building. So 20% of the misconducts led to suspension, and that includes in-school suspension. And we do not call it in-school suspension. This is our realignment room. We're focusing on the root cause. Why is that behavior being exhibited? And that's why you are seeing a reduction from the high-level misconducts to lower misconducts. You also see we have 471 misconducts. You can say, oh my gosh, there's been more things going on. We document everything. So this data is valid. It is accurate. If you only have 100 misconducts in a year, that's not accurate. That's not all things are being submitted. We submit everything. So we had 29 out-of-school suspensions last year. We reduced almost in half from the year before. And if you see our data across the years, this is the best amount of students not being suspended, resulting in out-of-school suspension. You also see police notifications. We had 17. Police are notified for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's wellness checks. Sometimes it's concern about mental health for a student. So there are a variety of ways in which police are notified. You see that is also significantly lower. What you don't see on this data is the amount of restorative conversations that have taken place, the parent conferences that have happened with our SEL team. They are working non-stop. But the fact that you're seeing such a reduction, even with the number of misconducts documented, the reduction of 5 to 6 misconducts, that does not look like this. That is not normal. That is hard work, and hard work by the members of that social emotional learning team to get there. And it's something that I know we can even improve on further. Really, we should be really proud of this work. Again, this is the best kind of data you want to see in a 10-year period. I also want to focus on something that I've been dedicated to, is making sure that we're focusing on our Black male students and making sure that they are successful, because for years, we have demonstrated just a lack of support. And This is clear that over the last 4 years that we have seen significant growth. In every one of our content areas, students have grown up, student success rates have grown over 4-year period. You can see it 14% growth in English classes. Again, as our students have access to certain classes, they're finding success in certain classes. And this is across the board. There is not a single department in which we have seen a drop over 4 years. Again, I'm proud of our teachers for helping support all students at our school. We have a lot of amazing programs at our school. Our IB program is elite. And now we're ensuring that all our students across the board have positive learning experiences. And again, this is due to the efforts of our united school coming together to help all students. Looking ahead, I won't, you know, this information as we kind of go through our CIWP priorities, focusing on curriculum instruction, post-secondary success, connectedness and well-being. These are going to be our areas of focus to help us continue to improve upon those successful data points that I've already demonstrated. We have to challenge that we increase our college enrollment rate. We have to improve on our graduation rate. We have to focus on freshmen on track. But we are at a very good starting point to continue to grow through these priorities. As we focus on curriculum instruction, looking at our unit plans, how do we reflect on that? That's some things that we are doing within all of our department meetings, within our professional learning cycle. So you can see how this is all connected ultimately to support student outcomes, which I just shared with you. And so again, these are the priorities. We'll continue to go through all of these. They've been presented to you before, you've approved them. And again, this all aligns with the district-wide supports, the district data points. This is the money the district is putting into special education, teaching positions, et cetera, that are in the pre-created slides from the district that I'm sharing with you. But I wanted to make sure that we're emphasizing our school-wide information. There are budget community roundtables. I would encourage local school councils to participate in this, because as we think about our funding, we know that our funding goes to salaries and benefits. What can we do if we have additional resources to further advance these successes that we have already had? That is all I have with the data that I wanted to just share. This is pretty great. Great opportunities and a lot of opportunities for further growth. Any questions?
Thank you. Anybody have any questions about the presentation?
Yeah, yeah, if I can. Specifically, you didn't include freshman on track numbers. And since I don't think you did, sorry. If I
there was
did
one
you?
slide. It was actually it was 85.6.
Okay, sorry, because I know that like this would be the time period to start seeing what that impact is from the freshmen largely.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could talk about that, because I know we have chronically underserved Black population with freshmen on track.
Yep.
You know, those numbers have been horrible for years. So I don't know how that's trending right now and how that might impact.
We had just a grade level session with freshmen. I do have Ms. Theus and Mr. Stuckey are here as a part of an admin team to talk about that. I know he can speak to that. We have seen, especially going into Q2, we have seen that we're actually doing better within our on track rate going into the second quarter to the semester. Some things that I know we are going to continue to focus on. I want to say it's in the 90, you know, the freshman on track where it's 94% right now. So we are, yes. And we'll want to pay attention to the subgroups of students within also that, similar to what I presented, but 94% compared to where we were even last year with 84.6% is we're on a more positive trajectory to bring that up. We're concentrating on that. We do know that Q3 tends to be a difficult time for freshmen. And so what type of strategy can we put in to maintain? My goal is that we'll be at like 96, 97 by the end of this semester. We know that some of our newcomers are struggling, and how do we support them? But if we get to that point, then going into the second semester, we should again, our goal is to be, my goal is 95, but I want to keep growing as a school. But we're on a positive, at this point, feeling very good about that data moving forward.
Anybody else? So I'm assuming, do we want to talk about, is new business part of that state of the school?
I will sit down and then I can talk about anything.
And I just want to confirm that everybody got access to those slides, right? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to move on to new business. For the principal's report.
No.
No, full business update. No, okay, all right.
Well, I know we have athletics coming up later, so that was some of the things that would come up with this. Maybe National Honor Society. I know we're moving forward. Person who was running that is on leave, so we're identifying some others to help support National Honor Society. So that information should be going out shortly, and he's helping lead that work. Just in kind of going back to even the celebrations, you know, because of the success you saw in this report too, we are partnering with we had the governor of education from the Republic of Korea come to our school, and we're going to start working on like a sisterhood partnership with the school as well. I'm just really excited about that, but that's they like what we're doing, especially with the advanced placement within Access and what that could look like. And so we did some tours, and there will be some future interactions as well. So that's just really exciting. And so getting ready for winter sports.
Great. All right, so next on the agenda then is an athletics update.
I'd like to welcome back our athletic director.
Yay. Welcome back.
It's good to be back. It's been about 3 months. I went on paternity leave like the day before, I think, the August LSC meeting, so I was not here. Still kind of been back about 24 hours, so I'm still kind of getting a grasp of everything great that's been going on, things that are going to be going on in the winter. So really, as far as coaching vacancies, we are looking to form a co-op for wrestling with the help of CPS Sports Administration. We had a coach candidate that was in place to take over the program, and things I won't get into, it did not work out. So we were not able to find a replacement in time. We are interviewing for a girls water polo coach currently, and we are going to start our search for a boys lacrosse coach. So significantly less vacancies than we've had, I mean, in the last 14 weeks or so.
And the co-op would be with either Clemente or Noble. There's 2 schools already identified to set up for a co-op. So that's, we're getting that set up right now. And if we aren't able to, for the spring, and some of the sports that were referenced were spring sports, that we already proactively prepared for co-ops if that isn't able to work out.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hello. Is it my turn? Sorry, I'm driving, so I can't see. Amy. I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
Softball, girls softball. I know that there's what's going on with that coach.
The current head coach is, or the new head coach is being onboarded. I'm not sure about what step she's in because I just found out today. She was hired.
So there is a new head coach that was
Mhm.
hired.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was hired or offered the job very recently. So
Do we know who, like, can we say who it is yet, or is that still under wraps?
I think you can say the name. I just don't know how to pronounce it.
I guess my question is it there was one I know that was recommended by several parents for who had a lot of experience. I don't know if you can say that's the one or.
If you give me a second, I will help.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
What about boys volleyball? I thought that was open too.
So I've got the complete list of all coaches and coach vacancies. So what we have right now it was softball. That was the original question. Girls softball is Brooke de Vicenzi. That went there was a lot of positive feedback and recommendations for that head coaching candidate. Wrestling I see is working forward going through the co-op. Girls water polo, we hope to hire on Monday. We're doing the final steps of an interview for girls water polo. I'm looking at other blanks. There may be some assistant coaches that are coming along the way that we just need to like review. I think that's kind of the assistant coach parts. Some that have, if we've never had staff that we're just trying to promote. And then it's the let me see. And I see boys volleyball. We have to confirm that coach for boys volleyball. We believe we have a person, but I just need to make sure that they're either coming back or not coming back for that position. So I wouldn't say it's open. We just need to confirm it. Co-op. It will be Clemente or Noble will be the school that they would partner. So.
Sure, I agree with that. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, football went from like having 3 coaches last year to 9 because we were able to fill the full assistants, and you can see just the amount of skill development that happens within that sport.
It varies like pretty wildly sport to sport. How many it's like some sports have 0 assistants, which is technically kind of against CPS policy as far as how many student athletes are being chaperoned by a single coach. But
All right. Well, thank you very much for your update. Does anyone else have any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you. And welcome back. All right, so we're going to move on to student reports, student voice. Who wants to give that update?
Okay, yes. So right now we're our survey with just issues about the school is in its final stages of development. Right now we're presenting our proposed first draft, the 3 student reps, to the rest of the committee on Monday, and we're just going to get some feedback and hopefully start with outreach the following week. And then after that, we're going to start analyzing those results, and then like proposing policies and initiatives based on that. And then we're also going to complete the development of a mental health oriented survey with Mr. G and the rest of the behavioral health team.
Okay. And then on Monday, we had a member of the PPLC join our meeting, Mr. Fish, and it was really exciting to have him. I think we can all agree, it was one of our most engaging meetings. It was really great to see the students kind of connect with somebody at the school and kind of see progress get made. So that was just super exciting.
So it's going to be a very short update for Student Life. Winter sports are hosting their tryouts and preparing for their winter season. Our next dance is going to be the winter formal, and that link has been sent out. And contracts for winter formal and prom have been submitted and approved. And we just received the graduation contract yesterday, and we're still choosing food options for winter formal and prom this week at Student Life Committee.
Thanks for that update, Koya. Can I ask a question about the student surveys? Do you know about approximately how many you've received so far?
We haven't received any responses yet. It's still in development, so we're gonna start getting responses in hopefully like a week or 2.
And last year, for context, we got around 700 to 800 students to reply, which is like, I feel like a lot. And that was really great. So we're hoping to kind of achieve that much as well this time, if not more.
Awesome.
Yeah, probably aiming for about a quarter to a third of the student body. We think that'll give us a really good sample set to be able to gauge student opinion.
Great. Anxious to hear the results of that in the next meeting. So great. Thank you very much for your report.
Wait, one question or statement. When it gets approved, can you share that with teachers so that they can maybe put it on their Google Classrooms? Because I know
absolutely,
that helped a lot.
For sure.
And that I can encourage them then as well.
Great suggestion. Okay, well then, let's move on to school reports, PPLC.
Oh, really?
Okay, I can at least start.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm eating my lunch.
No.
5:53.
Disappointed when you walked in with that.
I mean,
Well, I'm gonna
it's everything from the garden. We had 2 motions that we voted to approve. The first of which was a motion to recommend the approval of funds for Turnitin.com. In our conversation with Dr. Steinmiller just a few days ago, it seems as though we are unable to create a Turnitin.com account for this on the behalf of the school. because it's in some sort of limbo status, pending approval of something from the state. I think that apparently, like, if you can be grandfathered in on an existing account, but we cannot create a new one. But Dr. Steinmiller has acknowledged how it is an incredibly important tool, especially for our individuals and societies and English departments. And so hopefully that can get created soon. The
Can
other
I just jump in there while you're
please.
on turnitin.com that we were going to mention to have it added to the budget meeting, the next budget meeting. So if it's approved, but the board does not pay for it as it has historically done, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was it, that there can be a motion already move forward that we're going to pay for it as a school. It's a plagiarism check, and it's something that we've used for years and is wonderful. And I think we're supposed to know by the end of December whether or not the board has re-agreed to approve based on Illinois law, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they they're not SOPA approved, so schools can't use anything and not a SOPA approved vendor. We currently do not have a contract with them. The board previously did. Theirs is not continuing. So until December 31st, you can technically use them if you have an outstanding contract. We do not have one, therefore we can't continue to use it. We are not allowed to start a new purchase order with them because of their status as being not an approved vendor. It's pending. So December 31st, hopefully they become a vendor with the state. If they don't, we'll have to find alternative options. But I think the point being, at December, we have a quote of what that would cost to be able to make that purchase, so that we can discuss that at the budget subcommittee on if they become a vendor, that we can immediately then use funds to purchase it instead of having to wait till our January LSC. So
I just wanted to mention SOPA, Student Online Privacy Act, governs student information.
The other motion that we voted to approve was a motion to recommend approval that future LPHS dances are scheduled for non-instructional days, simply because for homecoming being on a Friday downtown, there were a high number of absences, especially in the afternoon classes. I think we recognize that many of these absences were excused absences. I myself had 3 or 4 students after we were done with the quiz that day. I watched as their parents walked through the mall, went through, getting them, and the intercom called them down and everything. But still, it was a disruption, I think, in a lot of afternoon classes for instruction. Seems as though the winter formal is already sort of adhering to this recommendation, and we hope that that continues. And then there were 2 motions that were not voted on at this time. Ms. Keller, would you like to speak to any of those?
I don't have them in front of me.
Oh, okay. But certainly you are the author of these PPLC minutes. You have access to it. The first was a motion to recommend approval for next year's budget that we return the IB coordinator positions that were initially given by a CPS Board of Education this year. That was tabled to get more information about how those positions were being utilized, or the processes that Dr. Steinmiller requested from downtown.
For the coordinator. Did you say coordinator?
Yeah, for the
positions?
coordinator
Thank you.
positions. I myself have not yet talked to the MYP coordinator, nor have I talked to the DP coordinator as far as their levels of interest in any of these, but I think it seems like there's a lot more conversation that needs to be happening, or figuring out how to not only get them support, but also not lose positions, not only not lose coordinator positions, but also teacher positions. And then the fourth one was a motion for student fees to only be used for the items that are designated on the flyer to parents. Presently, everything that we've spent student fees on is on that flyer. The flyer has a lot of things on it, and I think that's sort of intentional so that it can be used kind of for a lot of different things, which is fine and it allows for flexibility. But there's concern as far as using student fees for the payment of teachers that are covering classes instead of having a plan in place prior that might point to the student fees sort of just being used as a slush fund rather than a pointed amount of monies for certain supplies or resources for the school. So we've tabled that also to get more information. And we talked about those at length with Dr. Steinmiller the other day. And the only other thing that I personally have questions about is last time this body met, we talked, this issue came up from our PPC members as far as why our school is no longer designated as a Title I school and where that designation went, as well as what that means financially for our school and how we do not get Title I funds and how we do not have a student or a school improvement plan in place in order to have that accreditation and in order to use those monies for supporting our students. It seems as though the PPC members have been in contact with a couple of ISB people as far as trying to figure out what we need to do as a school, or maybe I should say what our administrators need to do in order to actually get back this status. Because when I first started here, we were definitely a Title I school. I have many colleagues who have loan forgiveness because of our Title I status. So I guess myself and my colleagues, not necessarily on the PPLC, but just speaking on behalf of all of my teacher colleagues, are trying to figure out a way to get that back. And I hope that Dr. Steinmiller and the administration will be supportive of doing that documentation, filling out whatever paperwork needs to be filled out in order to get back to that. Ms. Kaler, do you have anything else?
I think just a small thing that I'm urging my fellow LSC members in terms of the school fees. I'm just very, very troubled at where this money is going, that I think many, many schools are very implicit with and explicit with where that money can go to just, I just want to make sure that there's not mismanagement that is causing, a situation where, thousands of dollars have to go to pay for what could have been solved properly with proper management. And I just am, as a parent, as a teacher, I'm concerned about where that money goes. I don't want it to go to not handling our budget properly and being intentional about class sizes, programming, release periods, all of these things we've been bringing up for 3 years. And, I'm sort of tired of being the only one that is really looking into it. I think it's incumbent of all of us as LSC members to be intentional about that. And then I'm not labeled as the malcontent.
Can I just speak to that for a second? I feel like part of why we have a budget committee that we did not have until Brad came on board is for this exact reason.
Right.
So I guess my curiosity is around where you think there's mismanagement of money when we have multiple eyes for that reason on the budget. And particularly Brad, who's a pretty outside kind of person that really has, as a community member, kind of no self-interest in his role in that. So
yeah, Amy, I misspoke. I don't think that you're mismanaging. I don't think that the LSC or the budget committee is mismanaging. I didn't mean that at all. I think I meant really to be more proactive maybe during the summer and discussing things like release periods and, you know, the hiring of individuals and, you know, really making sure that the management of Dr. Steinmiller and the administration is being handled well so that money isn't then result in going to, you know, these places that where they could be going to art or music or whatever. That's really what I meant. So if I said that, I did not intend to say that you were mismanaging what was there, but rather being more proactive and intentional before we even begin this process of a school year.
Yeah, I read it. I appreciate you clarifying that. And Amy, I appreciate your kind words. I read it more so as a follow on to Dave's comments about how expansive the fee letter is. Because I also have concerns with how expansive that fee letter, you know, was. And so I do think, and I think that the LSC as a whole, we had a short period of time to approve the letter at the beginning of the year. And it is like, you can almost cover anything in the fees. And I think we have to heavily scrutinize that as an LSC going into next year. And I think you're referring to like staffing shortages and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is part of the budgeting. All of that comes together. And that's what I meant, Amy. So I apologize for, we know how hard you work.
I just also want to clarify, I would like to understand more how other schools do it because I think a lot of times you say at other schools, they don't do it like that. And I want to make sure that's the case. If they do not, or if they do, because I know how CPS moves slowly with money sometimes, and there's unexpected things that come up or withholdings. And I just want to make sure that we're not restricting so much that then we can't move money when we need to, not because of something we did or admin did, but because of something CPS did that results in us being unable to, I don't know, buy books because I'm just using this as an example, because they decided, you know, whatever, and we have money allocated to instruments, not books. So I know that's not the example you're talking about. I'm just using that as for that purpose, but just to look at maybe what other schools do, high schools in particular, around student fees and how they move money might be worth a conversation.
Our flyer is actually so in partnership and looking at schools like Jones, you look at Jones's letter, Whitney Young, Walter Payton, quite a few other schools. We have been in touch. Ours is modeled. All of ours have very similar attributes across the board because we're all using them for very similar reasons. So happy to continue we could start this conversation in the summer, look at this more deeply. I'm happy to spend that time, but also see how other schools, and you can see this is actually pretty consistent across the board, but then I'd be open to any type of recommendations moving forward.
Yeah, I think this came up in particular, most recently because of situations in my department and the lack of math teachers. Ultimately, we ended up using some of these monies for covering the teachers, my colleagues who covered these classes that don't have teachers. And I think there were concerns from other teachers as well as parents and people who are teachers and parents as far as like, if we had a better plan in place, if we had been more proactive on the front end and those positions were never vacant to begin with, then we would not have had to use these monies to cover the payment of those coverages after the fact. And so on the one hand, like, I would love for every kid to have a math teacher, and I, tip my cap to my colleagues who stepped in and are teaching extra classes so that they do have a math teacher. And it is very unfortunate that we had to way, but I also think that they should get paid. On the other hand, I think that there's a lot of valid concerns as far as like, we could have had teachers the whole time, and then we wouldn't have had to do this retroactive payment with this way.
Yeah, and just
absolutely. Sorry.
A brief and an update this week. I know this is because we had a teacher on leave, and our teachers stepped in to cover this teacher's leave that we were using these funds. The district, after I've asked probably 4 or 5 times, for support this week, just publicized, they will now support TAT leaves with teachers covering them. And that happened 3 days ago. In today's meeting with the CEO, it was also stated that they would be able to support these in that meeting. I'm going to ask to retroactively replace our funds since that is a part of the policy. So again, leaves happen, our teachers go out. I can't ask for anybody better to cover classes than our own teachers. Besides, I've seen people have the right to go on leave. It's part of their benefit. But the board stated they will now, out of central office funds, pay for teachers to cover positions in search of leaves or vacancies. And so we've asked for clarifying information on what that looks like in a process because there isn't quite clear. I don't want to move forward with anything without anything written on what that looks like, but we are proactively going to ask for funds back because we have been modeling this practice with support of friends of our fees. And if we can get the board to pay for our teachers who have jumped in to cover teacher leaves, then that would be great. So, yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I can't see anything because I'm driving. So I
Go ahead,
apologize
Amy,
if I'm
and I'll just,
interrupting.
yep.
I just want to make sure we're not conflating issues here, which is we have the issue where certainly many people feel like the way this was handled with the math department was not as successful as it could have been. And then we have student fees. And to punish students because we've restricted fees because we've said we don't want this to happen again, to me is not, it's like the punishment doesn't fit the crime here. And then if we find ourselves in this position again, which hopefully we never will, but if we do, then as a parent, I'm upset because this money is now stuck. Money that I paid for student fees is now stuck. And not only does my kid and now my kid doesn't have a teacher because we can't move money like that. So I just want to make sure we're not conflating those two arguments as a way to kind of, back admin into a corner and say, don't make this mistake again. And if they do, we're screwed. So just something to think about.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that, yeah, I agree. That was not my point of bringing up. And in fact, I was trying to be diplomatic rather than come right out and say all of the things that I'm concerned about. And that is, the leaves do happen. But the question is, when were you aware when those, I think you knew, probably at the end of the year of last year that we're going to have one temporary, right? She was going to go on leave. And then the other, there was enough time maybe to hire somebody else over the summer. And the question was, when were those two, what do you say, positions posted on the CPS website, the job listing? Were they posted at the beginning of the summer, or were they posted when school started, which by that time was too late? So I'm asking.
Oh yeah. So we posted the positions.
When were they
and also
posted?
we had, as soon as we were aware of, as soon as a person is able to go on leave, we try to post them as soon as possible. We actually, the person who's coming in December 22nd, we hired in June or July. They just weren't, this is for the vacant position. The leave, the person actually ended up going on leave earlier than anticipated. Our teachers promptly jumped in. They covered those classes. This is also a recommendation the local school council has made to me before, to please utilize our teachers to cover vacancies. You said find the funds to do this. This has been stated to me before from this local school council. Some members are new, maybe weren't a part of it. We did that. And so this is a recommendation that I followed through that you've made to me, and I did it. And so I appreciate that recommendation. As it pertains to, again, the posting, we had them posted. Our teachers jumped in when it became a last minute situation. And, I would, again, especially with, we've had extensions of leaves are different. As it pertains to math and you want to hear more directly, Ms. Theus is the person who is assistant principal who is directly supporting that. So I'm just not talking aimlessly. I know that that's not she would be an extension of me if we would like to ask her to talk. That's not that is up to our chair.
Just to clarify, the PPLC only voted and on two. And we've been talking for a very long time about one of them that did not get passed. That was tabled.
Brad, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just quickly, because two budget subcommittee meetings ago, it was just actually Laura and myself with Dr. Steinmiller, but we litigated this again and again inside the subcommittee. I will also second what Dr. Steinmiller said, which is that myself and I know Ms. Kaler, both of us have told him in the past when there's been vacancies like with science a couple years ago, why don't we ask the other teachers to step in? But
That's not fair.
no,
though. It's
no,
not
no,
the same
no, no, but let me just finish that. I know that the thing that frustrated me, of which we talked about in the budget subcommittee, is that because of how expansive the student fee list is, there wasn't a requirement to come back to the LSC to say there's going to be this transfer of funds. And so what we talked about and what I really wanted to do is to say, listen, prior to this being done, it would have been great for it to be a conversation among the LSC. Here's a problem. Here's existing funds. Do we use them or not? Or is there a different way to do this? And so that was my recommendation inside the budget subcommittee, is to say, you know, if there's a way for us to make the student fees more restrictive in some way, just to make sure that when there's large situations like that, there could be a transfer conversation like what happens on the screen. So we can talk about if there's big movements of dollars, especially from fees. So that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing.
How quickly can that move? My kid did not have a math teacher for 5 weeks. So if what I voted for
You're right.
was
You're
for
right.
money to go to teachers, then why wasn't it going to teachers? I mean,
Don't actually know what you're asking.
for 5 weeks, my child did not have a math teacher. And what you said is we voted for, agreed earlier that teachers should be the ones that cover those classes. But the reasons that they started covering it, and then they were told to stop covering it and a sub came in. So there's a disconnect there for me that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll answer that question, but following up on I don't know if there's any, we're kind of like talking about things that are outside of the PPLC conversation. There were 2 recommendations. But to just answer your question, we had enough funds and fees that could adequately support it for 5 weeks. We did. We appealed to the board to cover it for an extended period of time after the 5 weeks. They denied it. Therefore the networks provided a cadre who was had math background to be able to step in for the class. We partnered with our friends of Lincoln Park High School. They helped provide payments so that we could bring our teachers back to finish out the semester until a TAT who we've hired will start December 22nd. So we are doing everything bending over backwards to make sure that we have teachers in front of our classroom to the best of our ability. And I commend Ms. Diaz for the work and the math teachers for jumping in again, because they didn't have to, and they did. So I appreciate that. And again, we're doing everything to make sure across the district, across the nation, there are inconsistencies. That was also part of the CEO's meeting today about staffing. That is very, very difficult, that they and the CTU are partnering and trying to come up with solutions. We're trying to come up with solutions at our own school. I, again, appreciate everybody for their efforts in that. And that's really all I can say for what is the agenda items for our meeting today.
All right. And then we have a presentation from the IB group. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we do PPC? We did not. I'm sorry. Before that, the PPC.
I think there was no PPC. I think we received an email about no PPC.
No, they're here.
They might say the same.
Oh, okay.
You did.
Sorry.
You did receive
Again,
an email.
can't see. Okay.
But we're also here because we're wordy. So we do not have a PPC report because we met this week. We're finalizing our notes. The notes will get approved by Dr. Steinmiller, and then there will be a PPC update. If you have questions, once those notes are posted, I'll post them in the main office. There's actually a little spot for them. We're happy to take your questions any old time.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. All right. So then moving on to the IB presentation.
I also want to thank our coordinators because they were off campus at district level meetings and came back just for the LSC meeting.
So unlike the PPC, we actually have a report for our report. As brief as I'll try to keep it. I'm Teresa McCormick, the middle years program coordinator. So I'm going to cover what's been going on over the last 2 months, because I think I was here 2 months ago to give a report. And the best way I could do it with sort of my scribbling, I forgot my glasses over there, but I should be okay. Was to divide it up by what we've been doing with the different groups of stakeholders. So I'll start with the students. My role with students primarily lately has been with the personal project work. Over the course of the year, I've tried to visit about a subject a month. Oh, thank you. A subject a month. Some months, I might hit 2. So far I've been in Lang and Lit, chemistry, PE, and individuals and societies. And what that means is I go into all of the sections of these classes and present various aspects of the project. Most recently, we did research in conjunction with our librarian. Miss G, our librarian, was really good about sharing resources that are available to the students to do their personal project research. And then I kind of connected what she was talking about to how that could be useful for the personal project, because they do other kinds of research in high school as well. I've also been meeting with some sophomores individually in regard to their personal projects. As far as staff, just to give an update on the training, the MYP training that we send teachers to, the IB workshops, we had 4 more teachers are going to be attending an ATL skill training on December 8th. I think it's 8th and 9th. I might have the wrong dates, a Thursday, Friday. We've sent 2 teachers to individuals and society workshop training, 1 teacher to language acquisition, and I have more teachers into the new year. As I do these reports, I'll update you on the rest. So these teachers are coming back and sharing some of the things they're learning in their TCTs, which are teacher curriculum teams. And the work is aligning with what we're doing with the ILT and the push for unit planning across the school. Let's see. With the staff, we've been continuing our unit planning on ILT. The coordinators had presented at the last all-staff PD and gave teachers time to work on aspects of the unit planning. What we're beginning in the ILT is connected to what we're doing at these all-staff PDs, and then the work that's being done there is being continued on the department meetings that happen every week, as well as the teacher curriculum teams. So everything's sort of going in a cycle, and all of that is in conjunction with our learning walk as well, which is exciting, with our focus on student engagement, which is also a huge part of the IB units that we've been working on, this idea of engagement, global context, connecting things to the students' lives, et cetera. As far as the parents, this week I visited Tubman Elementary. We had an appearance by Dr. Steinmiller. He wasn't sure he could make it because it was sort of planned, fitting it in with other things, but he showed up. The students were excited to hear about high school in general, and then the different programs that we offer at Lincoln Park. As far as parents, again, I presented, I'll let Ms. Tukey talk about it. I did an MYP portion of her IB information sessions. We've had 2 of those over the past couple of weeks. One was virtual, one was in person. And then finally, we were at a district meeting today, so I talk a little bit about what we do with the district. We attend at least 1 meeting a month. It's more like 1 to 2. Quarterly meetings are one aspect of what we do with the district, but more importantly, we are all on these professional learning communities they call PLCs, and ours, the one that we are on this year, is in regard to evaluation. So schools who are going under are up for evaluation from the IB attend breakout sessions with other schools who are doing this. The leader for this particular PLC is amazing. I worked with, she was a coordinator in CPS before. She's been to other states doing IB, and she's back. And today we talked about, it's always an aspect of evaluation. We talked about our policy statements that we're going to be working on to review and revise at Lincoln Park, which is a huge part of the documentation that you send in advance. So the IB policies are academic integrity, assessment policy, language policy, an admissions policy, and diverse learner policy. And you will all be a part of that as we get the drafts revised. And so that's pretty much it as far as breaking it up into the 4 categories. And then my colleague will jump in with DP.
Yeah, as Ms. McCormick said, we've worked on recruitment, both from the open house, which was, was very nice. And also we did a virtual one and we did an in-person one. And what's very interesting about it, especially the in-person one, is it's hearing the current students talking about their experience at Lincoln Park and their experiences in the programs. And then also, as I'm working with the juniors and seniors, as we're getting students working on their, or talking about and working on their IAs, which in each of the diploma subjects in each of the subjects the students were in the full diploma program take. As a part of their assessment, what's a very important part is that each student comes up with an individual project that they're working on in every single subject. And it's the kind of thing the professionals in the subjects do, because in IB, it's kind of different. I mean, there is a set kind of curriculum that you're supposedly learning, but it's very different from AP because in a certain level, everybody is learning something different on the same topic. I mean, it all interrelates together afterwards, but on IB, there's almost no multiple choice questions, is I think maybe the way to say it. There is no single right answer that's regarded. What's regarded is what you come up with and what you can present. And the idea is very much on getting several different points of view, looking at the same thing. So those are the kinds of things that we're working on, and it was very apparent as the student track basically at the meeting, but you know, those kinds of things sort of kind of moving along. And you know, the grade 12 students, as I said, are kind of finishing up. And the grade 11 students are kind of moving along. The freshmen seem to be in the diploma program, the preparatory diploma program seem to be basically doing fine as are the sophomores. And at this point, we're also working on registering everyone for exams. That was one of the kind of conflicts I had in going to the meeting today, but also needing to, we have a deadline for registration on the 15th. And, you know, so it's kind of a little bit tight. I want to emphasize that the Turnitin.com kind of thing is very important for the students in terms of assuring and teaching them also about like kind of academic integrity and what you can, you know, using other people's ideas, but being able to cite them and not, if you taking somebody else's ideas and putting them in their own words and all of that. And Turnitin.com is very, very important for that. There are, you know, and it's very good that we are going to be able to use it until the 31st. I mean, I know there's different, as with many things involving CPS and other things, there are different, you'll find there are different interpretations of the same situation. So I think we're supposed to be able to be using it at this point in time, but that of course remains to be seen. And you just kind of mush along with it. There was just one other thing, and something that was said before. Unfortunately, Lincoln Park was never a Title I school. Although we did get, teachers were able to get loans forgiven in percentages, but we never were a Title I school. But I know I got my graduate school loan.
Title I district, so we qualify.
Yeah, no, so what I'm just saying, it's a district, it's not the school, but we never were a Title I school. Okay.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right. So moving on to subcommittee updates, safety and security. Oh.
I'm Dean Johnson. Most of you know me as JJ. It's been a while since I've been here. Ms. Walker have been presenting safety and security for us. I'll be brief. We do not have a teacher rep part of our committee, and we're looking for someone to be a part of that so that our committee, sorry about that. So our committee can be whole, so we're getting ideas and suggestions and concerns and getting all those things taken care of as a whole. It's been, I know it's difficult with all the different committees that we have and so many moving pieces within the school and everybody trying to address concerns that we have, but we're asking for a teacher to participate. We're willing to make whatever adjustments need be um, if it's one day out the month, if we have to put a sub in the class during that time frame so that teacher can be a part of that. We're open to making arrangements to change it to after school if need be, but that's definitely a piece that we're missing so that we can move forward and trying to address the safety and security concerns that we have for our school. We did put out a survey to see who was interested. We didn't get many numbers, so what we plan on doing, trying to see what teachers may have prep periods during that time and may be willing to participate in that committee going forward, because that input from teachers is really important, and that's moving forward and helping try to keep the schools safe. Our on-campus and off-campus incidents. I know Dr. Steinmiller talked a little bit earlier, and our suspensions are down and all those different things because of the work that's going on in the background that some people cannot see, but I'm hoping that they are noticing. Those who have been around for quite some time know that it was a little bit hectic. Definitely Dr. Steinmiller first couple of years here. Definitely after COVID. Relationship pieces are always key, and we just didn't have that connection with our kids during that time. So it was a little hectic during that time. But since then, we have had the addition of social workers, added members to our behavioral health team. So we were really working closely with our students on mental health, addressing behaviors and concerns. It's definitely not perfect. We definitely have a whole lot of work to do. It's been an all hands on deck approach in regards to addressing those needs with our kids. But it's going to always be something said. It's a high school. We got kids. We're going to have kids running. We're going to have kids cutting. There's going to be truancy. It's a lot of things that's going on that we trying to address. But I'll always be the first one to say, in order to address those things, it's a all hands on deck approach that we have to take in dealing with those. We have had a hit to our attendance office. We have two amazing individuals in there trying to do the best that they can to support. I don't know if people really know what that job entails of keeping track of attendance, phone calls, early dismissals, all those different things, and then trying to get our kids inside the classroom has been a challenge. But those are things that we're going to be working toward to get it better for the most part. And as I mentioned, our off-campus incidents, to my knowledge, those things are down. I like to use Target as an example for that. They followed our suggestions in regards to hiring security personnel for their business and checking student IDs as they come in the building. They know our color codes. They know what students should be in there during that time, because the kids have the lunch period on their IDs, and their IDs are color coded. So that's been working really well. And when there is an incident, they're not notifying the police, they are notifying us. And we're working with Target, we're working with the child that had the infraction or the incident, we're working with the parent. And a lot of times those things doesn't happen again. But like I say, it's one of those things, it's a challenge. If we can get more people in the community to do those things, it probably would help out a whole lot, because what our kids do know is we working together. They can't do a lot of things because we have those connections and we communicating with each other. You know, kids will try to get away with what they can get away with if we're not talking about it. So that's some things we're going to continue to push, things we're going to continue to push in the community so we can work together. We wish They didn't have to have security personnel to address these needs, but that's just what it is right now. Another challenge for us as a school, and when I think about safety, I think about knowing who should be in our building. And knowing who should be in our building, everyone should have an ID. Everyone should, it should be visible, should be on your person. That's from staff members. That's even if we have a visitor. We need that. Just because of the layout of our school, our transition periods, and it's been a huge challenge. I know for a fact that our security personnel do a really good job screening in the morning and checking IDs to make sure that our students have them. This should be ongoing throughout the day from all staff. I strongly believe that this is something that we do consistently with the students that we have. We have minimum students not wearing their IDs, and then those who are just defiant and don't want to participate in helping keep the school safe. We can have those individual conversations with those students and with those parents and addressing those needs and making sure those students know the purpose of ran those IDs. That has been a challenge. That's been a challenge before Dr. Steinmiller was here. That's been a challenge with every principal that's been here from the time that I've been here. So what I'm asking teachers to ask students. I'm not saying spend a whole lot of time on it, but ask students to wear those IDs. Those students are not wearing those IDs, have those conversations and remind them the reason for it, you know, so we can know who's in the building and so everyone can be safe. And that's pretty much all I have, unless you guys got some questions for me.
I just want to say, when we just presented the data, and it sounds like you were listening in on it, that's been a lot of like your leadership and hard work and members of the SEL team. That couldn't have happened without that daily interaction that you and your team are doing. So I just commend you and your team for the success that we were able to share at the state of the school.
Yeah, we truly appreciate that. It's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done, but we're going to continue working to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to hear from the Community Relations Subcommittee. Oh, that would be it. You want to present, Paul?
Sure. Thank you, Assistant Principal Theus, for a great meeting that we had this week. And so just to kind of hit some of our priorities, we really want to be sharing the highlights from Lincoln Park High School with the Alderman's office to get them in the newsletter, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, and just blurbs that should be regular so the neighborhood knows the good things going on here. We want to work with Minar, and Principal Theus has been doing a great job of that. Minear, excuse me, to help the parents and the students know the great things going on here, so they really want to come here. And so we had a good idea of maybe a basketball game that they can come over to see the excitement of being here, but also finding opportunities we can go over there and talk about the support and just why they should want to come to Lincoln Park High School. We're looking at subject to capacity for the staff, but some kind of spring, fall open house, some kind of event in the spring where parents can, from the neighborhood, from other schools, can come in and ask questions, and just thinking about offering that opportunity, knowing that'll be a point in the calendar where some students may be understanding like, oh, I might be going here, and so just giving people another chance to have those kinds of conversations. Anything else I missed? I think there's one more. Oh, well, Laura and I are the committee co-chairs, so thanks for Brad for getting us going, and for Principal Theus for all you do and making the time.
Yeah, that was pretty much all that we talked about, but lots of great ideas, and outreach is really what we're all about.
Yes. Oh, and last one is also seeing if we can play some matchmaker between some of the teams or artistic clubs and the grammar school counterparts in the neighborhood, to see if basketball team wants to do a lesson with the basketball kids at Alcott, or just different things that we think will really deepen those community relationships, help young people in the neighborhood want to come here. So whether it's choir, whether it's a sport, just looking for some of those opportunities. Thank you.
All right, so that's community relations. We also have the subcommittee for the principal evaluation. Do we have a report for that? I don't have anything from Peter, any notes.
I have, I think. He sent out a email to today with further. Do you want to come back to me? Maybe
Yeah,
go to
let's come back to that.
communication? I can. pull this
Yeah,
up.
let's do the communication subcommittee.
Amy.
Amy?
You're on mute.
Sorry, my assistant has to unmute me. We are trying to figure out a time where we can meet with students. We've been having a little bit of a hard time coordinating schedules. But we are planning on meeting again to just go over kind of where communications are, where improvements can continue to be made. The new website is up. So if you haven't checked it out yet, maybe Mr. Stuckey, if he's still there, could speak in the public comments a little bit more about that. Because if he sent me notes, I can't see them. And yeah, I think that's it. And I'm also student life, sort of. We had that committee last year. But I would like to request for the next meeting so we can just have a sense of what the numbers are for the students attending the various clubs and how communication, this is part of the communications committee too, how we're continuing to push those clubs for students. I know there were still a number of clubs that didn't have club sponsors for a period of time, like freshmen and sophomore board didn't have club sponsors, which is like a huge, huge loss, I feel like, for those kids. So just want to try to get a sense of that for the next meeting and maybe present on so hopefully some ideas that come out of our comms meeting on getting more kids involved in clubs.
I just wanted to comment that I think the website looks great. And I was not involved in any way. So I can say this without any kind of bias, that just an amazing job by Amy's leadership, Rebecca Eden, other folks who past LSC members, current, for just doing an incredible collaborative job on making it a much more innovative, modern website. So thank you.
I cannot take any credit for that. That is all Mr. Hardesty, Mr. Stuckey, and I believe there were 2 parents last year who sorry, their names are slipping my mind now, who were very involved in going through the website, seeing what wasn't working, getting that all off. So it was a Herculean task, and I think the end result has been fantastic.
Amy, who do we go to if there have to be changes made on the website, or Dr. Steinmiller? There are still teachers and faculty that have been gone for a year who are still on the.
I actually asked Mr. Hardesty about that when I was taking over being the scribe for PPLC minutes, and he was like elevating my access to edit stuff.
Yep.
He told me that he was going to reach out to Steinmiller or administration in general about like having each department kind of go through their department and bring back any, this needs to be added or this needs to be deleted. It doesn't sound like that's happened at all. But so maybe we could be proactive on our end to reach out to him.
I'd like to comment that a former LSC member, Zach Rosenthal, shows up on the website.
Brother. All right, well, thank you guys for that update, Amy. Do we want to do facilities and then go back to
whatever you want?
Principal evaluation? Let's do that since we're on a roll. Someone want to present for facilities?
Yeah. One thing I want to point out first and foremost is that this room has been painted, so, it's tough to make this room look perfect. But if you look around, there isn't complete, missing paint moments. Obviously, you can see the work in the corner over there. There's a lot of layers of paint that needed to get scratched off. and then trying to repaint over what was remaining, because there's a lot more work than just paint that's needed in some of these rooms. But that is our chief engineer, Mr. Canby, who has really been pushing this. And I don't know if in the last LSC meeting, Peter gave an update from conversations Peter and I have been having with Mr. Cantori as part of the facilities committee. But there isn't a paint budget, let's say, that the engineering team gets. It's not through CPS. It's through outside contractor. So there isn't a paint budget. So what has happened across the building is when there's leftover paint cans, that's what's used to clean up spaces. And we have an internal commitment, another question for budgeting, but we want to make sure, and Mr. Cantori cares a lot about this, that there's consistency in paint. So this room is a great example that you just had spotches and blotches of paint for a long time. And now there's, it's interesting color choices when you look around and pay attention to it. But there is an effort to match at least the paint that's there. So we had one facilities meeting that was with our site supervisor that covers multiple schools with Dr. Steinmiller, Mr. Cantori, and myself. I'll briefly run through that. We have 5 out of 9 custodian positions that have been filled. We've got 2 more of that have been filled. Sorry. But we're 5 out of 9, I think, are currently staffed. So we should have 7 very soon. But just an example, when we don't have our current 9 staffed, there's a lot of issues that come up in bathrooms and in refilling, different items throughout the building. I believe this week or early next week, we're supposed to be piloting a new paint in the bathrooms that's paid for by the Friends of group. If I recall that correctly, Dr. Steinmiller?
Yeah, the piloting, it's like anti-graffiti paint. That's from the contractor that we will be using. They're checking it out, see how it works, and then we'll be moving forward with money that's been raised by Friends Up to redo these 2 bathrooms and then potentially extend to other things.
And then we've talked now for months, if not longer, in that meeting, then in a subsequent meeting that Mr. Cottons, Dr. Steinmiller, and I had another facilities meeting about how to just make the campus more secure. And the fact that there's 2 different buildings is very unique for Chicago. There's Kenwood, for example, has 2 buildings, but also has a bridge, I believe, that was either being built or is fully built.
$3 or $4 million bridge.
Yeah, a very expensive bridge that was used. TIF dollars was used to build that, though, which we're not a TIF area right here, nor would necessarily would want to spend that much money on a bridge. So for the time being, what we've been talking about in facilities and also have been elevating to the local neighborhood associations and also to CPS downtown is trying to build a perimeter fence over part of the campus here. Not fully around, the full campus of the Hill, but parts of it, just to make sure that there's secure borders for when kids transfer between buildings. And we can make sure that grownups and adults and other folks that don't belong on campus are not coming in during the school day. That is a risk right now. What's really tough when you talk about safety and facilities coming together is making sure after the first bell that it's truly a safe environment, because there's so much transition that goes on between the buildings. And if there's a lot of conversations we've had about if you check IDs or have kids go through a process in between classes, in between buildings, it would create a huge log jam, which would then make kids late for class. And so just to highlight that is not a done deal by any stretch of offense. We're in the beginning of conversations and trying to get stakeholder input to see what that takes. Our own Dave Cottons has a green thumb. And so we've been wanting to get Mr. Cottons more involved. Mr. Cottons wants to get more involved also with our groundskeeping and gardening. And so Dr. Steinmiller is going to be connecting with, I believe, Ms. Sepulveda to think about if there's OST funds available for clubs to engage in that in the spring. And we are taking a look at seeing if we can get a certain type of printer that would be used by faculty and also by Mr. Cantori, our engineer, so that we can do various types of printing, namely signage. When we have a printer on site, it will be much cheaper when we take it over time to print signs. For example, like where's our front door for, when you come into the campus the campus setup, where do you go to sign in? So there's little pieces of signs we know we need to print. We're trying to do it economically. So that's another topic that we're working on. There's also going to be a conversation, I believe, about OST funds, depending on if there's a club or so that uses that machine after school. Is that what it's called? I don't know. There's, yeah, to make signs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a gardening club too.
Right.
We have a gardening club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the update.
Oh. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Brad. So are we ready to?
Yeah,
give a
quickly.
report? Yep. A quick overview.
Peter has been working so hard in trying to, setting up meetings and emails. And so the principal evaluation subcommittee, the surveys had gone out. They closed today for teachers and staff, and for parents and community that was shared in both English and Spanish. And that data will start being collected and pulled together. He sent out this for this week, at the beginning of the week, to just, I think, of just department chairs or ILT members. And I think this week is going to be the last week. I guess it is. Today is Thursday, isn't it? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Was probably the last week for those interviews, unless any of the staff or teachers or parents want to contact Peter in an email if they still want to speak. So starting, it looks like we will have closed sessions per our timeline. Peter asked us, we would like to begin closed session discussions next week. We are going to hold 3 to 4 closed sessions over a 3-week period, starting the week of November 13th. A reminder that students will attend the start of one closed session meeting to provide input and then leave as deliberation and discussion begins. We will invite Dr. Steinmiller to join one of the closed sessions next week once we land on a date, and we'll invite him to attend another before we are done the week of November 27th. So there are going to be, it looks like, 2 to 3 2-hour meetings each to go over all of the data, discuss, evaluate, and then the decision then will be made that first week of December, and there will be a vote in open session. So I think that's good. Yeah.
These closed sessions are for all the LSC members, right? I know you said like the kids, students start really becoming to some, okay.
You would like to.
Yeah.
That,
I'm just not getting all the emails yet, but we'll get it together. I just started. So. Yeah.
Right. And welcome. I think that what we should do is reach out to Peter and make sure that you're on. Yeah. I think that's it. Anyone else on the committee want to say something, or is that
They're doing some one-on-one interviews that we're supposed to be doing with teachers and staff. So that just went out with Peter. So I don't know when that needs to be completed. That wasn't clear to me.
For which one? I'm sorry.
One-on-one interviews with teachers and staff.
I think they wanted those to be completed early next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week.
I know that there are some teachers that have spoken to Peter only and would like to touch base with other members that are on the subcommittee rather than just having it go through Peter. So
Right.
I've
Yeah,
encouraged
and
them
I-
to reach out to other members on the subcommittee.
Yeah, and I spoke to some of the other
Okay.
teachers as well
Oh, great.
during the office hours.
Great.
Yeah, I want to thank those who did participate in those office hours. That was really helpful for those who were available. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to new business. Does anyone have any items to present to the LSC for new business?
Well, I just wanted to welcome Angelica Sepulveda. So I just confirmed that it was her first.
Sorry if I'm asking any dumb questions.
You're not.
Like new, so I don't know what you think about this.
Angelica and I had an opportunity to work together last year on community items. And it's very exciting that you're part of the LSC. So thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, so we, as the Student Voice Committee, had one more thing that we wanted to report. At a lot of our meetings, students voiced concerns with the new format for holding virtual assemblies. It was noted that a lot of teachers were either teaching over the videos, like giving assignments that could be worked on over, live streams, or also just some not projecting them at all. And we also, it came up a lot that it just didn't feel like it was as much as like a community building feel to it. It's so important that as such a large school with so many different programs, students who might not all interact with each other, throughout a day-to-day basis, feel that they are bound by, a larger sense of community. So sort of in the name of making sure that all of the materials that are being presented at these meetings, as well as that sense of community, we are asking to consider moving back to an in-person format for assemblies.
And of course, we understand that some people do pay attention, and there definitely are teachers that do put everything away and focus mainly on the assembly. But I think the fact that some students are having the issue that it is a problem should definitely be brought attention to.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to know. You can probably speak to this too. About a week or 2 weeks ago, I sent an email concerning our migrant students, migrant/refugee. Those are two different statuses. So, and just because teachers had brought to my attention the lack of resources for this demographic. And so we came together to try to troubleshoot some issues. Dr. Steinmiller made himself a part of that. And we had actually and we're not done with that work, obviously. It's, it's never too late. But we did have a meeting, a professional development meeting that Dr. Steinmiller pulled together concerning this. And I thought it was helpful. Mr. Hardesty, I made him speak because he has such legitimacy with the staff concerning technology, and he introduced a lot of new helpful technology for translation, translation in terms of text to voice. Many of these students that are with us have never even been to a school, so they might know the language, but they don't know how to read and write yet. And so we have to find ways that they don't feel marginalized despite everything that they have gone through. So I really hope that we continue that work. I know that you have been in it from the very beginning. No, but if we came together more and really realized this is important, and speaking with the counselor and trying to find students that I have that would make themselves available to meet with the students and tutor with them. Our students are so lovely that whenever you really ask them to help, they want to do that. So I'm encouraging us to keep those conversations going, and they don't get lost in the.
I'll add, because I'm really involved in this from a city side, that the city has formally requested the state gives additional funding for STLS, and that they create more flexibility around licensing for bilingual educators. So those have been formal requests from the mayor to the governor. Not to say any that's happening quickly by any stretch, but this is something that's occurring in every school, at least inside of CPS. And they're also trying to identify at least 2 other districts in the state that will take on some of the support, as well, because it is very much on CPS right now compared to other areas of the state.
We need to be better than CPS.
I know it's late. I just really want to quickly on this topic. I'm the STLS coordinator, students in temporary living situations, myself and Mr. Phelan. I just want to shout him out. He is our only bilingual counselor here. He's working so hard. Anytime someone who speaks Spanish comes in the school, that's the person they go to first. And I also want to say thank you to the community members, teachers, staff members. Some students have been bringing a whole bunch of donations for our students in need, and we have so many new jackets, new gloves, hats, gift cards for our high need students. So thank you to everybody.
That's it. Yeah, it takes a village. So we're really thankful for coordinating all of them. So we now have some time for public participation. Thank you guys for waiting so patiently. Is there anybody who wants to come to the podium and have any input?
I think she has your quote. I'm pretty close. Just thinking about it.
So nobody wants to come up and yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I am Assistant Principal Theus. I'm also over the math department. I know there's been much conversation this year, and so I just want to kind of shed some light on the two positions or the two vacancies we have. One position that we had, we actually extended an offer to a candidate mid-July-ish. I reached out to the principal because that's customary when you have a teacher coming from another school. I believe Dr. Steinmiller did too. They took some time to get back with us and told us about a week before week 0 that they would not release their teacher. At that point, no principal is really going to let a teacher go because they want to have a fully staffed roster of teachers at the beginning of the year. That was the geometry position. For the leave, while we did know that the teacher was going out on leave, the leave was not put in until mid-August, maybe like the week before school started also. The teacher actually left a little bit earlier than what was anticipated. So while we knew whenever the leave started, it would have been for the full year, the anticipated start date wasn't until mid to late September, and the teacher ended up not coming at all. So that left us scrambling, and then our wonderful math teacher stepped in at the last minute to cover the position. So it put us behind the 8 ball in both situations. So I just wanted to shed some light on that. I know there have been a lot of things said and a lot of things swirling. And so I haven't really had a chance to address those two vacancies and how they came to be. I know Dr. Steinmiller reached out to the district several times to get these positions funded because we just did not have the resources to do it. As was asked by the LSC, we made it happen as best we could. And we found out, as he said earlier, a couple of days ago, that now the district is going to fund said thing that we've been asking for since August. It's frustrating and it's upsetting, but I'm glad we have some light at the end of the tunnel. We have hired for both of those positions. We have 2 great candidates in place, and they have both accepted their offer and been fully hired by the district. So as of December 22nd, we have both positions filled. Thank you.
I don't take it lightly that I might be the only thing between you and a motion to adjourn. So I'll be quick. Mr. Cottons mentioned a question. Dr. Steinmiller said it earlier, something about public participation, me jumping in. Yeah, I think on the school's website, there is earlier this week, Ms. G and Mr. Hardesty, who Mr. Hardesty deserves, as Amy said, all the credit. I would say it would be great if the website could do this and he would go and try to code it. And so it was great. He's invaluable. But we just did an audit this week of staff, and there's a glitch where 2 teachers, we can't take them off. One is Dr. Falkenberg. We can't take him off, so we flagged that. And then there's 3 teachers. There's a glitch. We can't add them. So it's on our radar. It should be fixed soon enough. So just to close the loop on that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any final comments before we adjourn? All right, are we all? Yeah, is there a motion?
I'd like the motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning? I think the ayes have it, and thank you very much.
Amazing. All right. That's right. Yeah. It was actually shorter than I know. I listened to all these meetings. I know.
If anyone would like to help me play the role of tech coordinator, Turn off.